The series commences with a brawl between two high school students, Ren and Shiru. Ren wished that time would stop so that his ordinary days with his loved ones would last forever, and there would be no fight no matter how many times it was repeated. Shiru hits Ren violently, and Ren questions why Shiru always has to destroy everything. But Shiru explains that he just likes doing the opposite, and he doesn't know why. Shiru feels a deja vu sensation, and he recalls that he has been through the situation before. Ren fills out his discharge form at the hospital while conversing with the receptionist. She asks about the girl who constantly checks up on him, and he informs her she is in school, but he intends to leave before she arrives because of her lousiness. On his way out, the receptionist sends her sympathy for his friend Yusa. Ren tells her he ran away voluntarily, so she doesn't have to worry about him. Ren breathes in the Christmas air in the city, and he realizes it is the season again. After pondering over what he did last Christmas, he concludes that time keeps flowing like a discovery. Just as he walks away, a female voice screams his name out loud, telling him to stop for her, but he ignores her intentionally until she trips. The young girl named Kasumi asks why Ren chose to ignore her. Ren answers her truthfully that anyone would do the same in his situation because of her screams. Ren helps her up from the ground. Kasumi scolds Ren seriously for getting discharged from the hospital without informing her, despite visiting him every day when he was hospitalized. Ren admits to being at fault, and he begs for a break. Ren gives in to Kasumi's scolding by asking her what she wants, and she invites him to go out with her to a Sword of the World exhibition that she has tickets for. Kasumi drools over the swords in the exhibition room, while Ren reveals his dislike for them. Kasumi questions why he hates blades so much, and Ren remembers Shiru dripping in blood after stabbing someone with a blade, but Ren denies having a reason. Kasumi scolds him about it, and she pulls him to keep checking, but he suddenly feels a dark sensation that causes him to act strange. Ren spots a passage in the building, and he walks through it with Kasumi, until they arrive at a place with a strange-looking guillotine. Kasumi mentions that the room feels scary, and she implores them to leave. Just as Ren turns to leave, he feels a sensation, and he turns to see an imaginary young girl asking him to become the same as him. Now back in Ren's room, Kasumi apologizes sincerely to Ren for dragging him to the exhibition just after his discharge and causing him to collapse. However, Ren expresses that he feels embarrassed for passing out and causing problems for her. Kasumi confirms that Ren is okay, and she reminds him she will be around to accompany him to school the next morning. Ren sees Kasumi trying to return to her room through a hole, and he instructs her to return through the door, but she protests against it. She says the hole leads to her room, and the other hole leads to Shiru's room, which makes it easier to help each other, so it's fine to her. Ren argues against her, saying their parents would not expect such an act from them, and he also reminds her that Shiru is gone. Kasumi objects immediately as she tells him that Shiru will certainly come back because she believes so he can't seal the hole. Ren finds himself in a desert alone until he hears a voice singing a song about giving the guillotine blood because it wants blood. The voice turns out to be from the young girl who appeared to Ren in the guillotine room. She says they meet again and calls him Cagliostro. Ren gets stuck in a guillotine with a large crowd singing the same song about the guillotine. He spots a familiar figure in the crowd shockingly, but the guillotine beheads him, and he jolts up from his sleep while screaming. Kasumi rushes into the room immediately after hearing his scream. Ren sees the blade with her, and he gets scared immediately. She explains why she came, and she questions if he had a nightmare. The sound of the police siren gets them to wonder if a crime has been committed. The next day at school, Ren listens to some students discussing a murder incident that happened the previous night, where a person's head was beheaded, and a student in their school saw the body first. Ren walks away from the classroom and arrives at the rooftop to see his senior colleague, Rhea, who requested to see him. Rhea asks for his jacket to feel warm and offers him a kimchi umeboshi sandwich in exchange, but he declines. She congratulates him on his discharge and apologizes for what happened to his friend Yusa because they were so close. Rhea notices his uninterested look, so she assumes that he doesn't care despite being close friends. Ren explains that Yusa is an idiot because he dropped out of school and he doesn't know what he is doing or is up to. Rhea discourages him from speaking so heartlessly, despite his feelings. She assures him they will meet again, and they need to make up when they do. Rhea asks if Ren wants a certain giant sister Riza, with blue eyes, to tutor him. Ren looks interested in her, and he asks after her. Rhea mentions that she is uncertain about how Riza feels because she was at the murder scene, and was the first person to see the dead body. Ren stares in shock, while Senpai continues explaining that she also saw the body and she is not handling it well because the police kept her up all night asking her questions. She warns him to be careful because it is dangerous. Ren receives a call from Kasumi, who screams at him for being absent from class. Kasumi reminds him that he missed classes when he was hospitalized and can be held back from graduating if he continues with his absence. She angrily questions if he wants her to graduate by herself. Senpai interrupts their conversation, pretending as though she is in a seductive mood with Ren, and she causes Kasumi to even scream louder until Ren drops the call. Senpai stands up to leave, and she asks if he isn't going to class when she sees him relaxing. Ren confesses that he wants to stay back because Kasumi will kill him if he enters the class. Senpai thanks him for his jacket, and she walks away. Ren wakes later to find himself still on the rooftop. He sets to leave the school, but he decides to check on Kasumi, and he sees her practicing her kendo skills. He urges her to go home with him. While on their way, they notice Rhea speaking with a strange lady whose name is Leonhardt. Rhea explains that the lady was just asking for directions. Kasumi blabs on about things as usual, while Ren tries to believe that his daily life has not changed, irrespective of Shiru's absence. Leonhardt stops on her path when she feels the arrival of an entity. A duo, Sturmscharführer Malleus and Obersturmführer Bay, arrive at a train passage to meet a father, Valeria Trifa. He welcomes them and informs them of the other messengers that are already in the city of Shambhala. He mentions that the vice commander organized the special unit for the sake of Lord Heydrich. He says a prayer chant, and they repeat his steps. Ren sits on the rooftop of the school building reading the news of another murder incident. He has been having the same dream every night since the incident, and he wakes up to the news of someone dead, as though beheaded by the guillotine each time. Ren remembers the dream again, but Ren and Rhea arrive to interrupt his thoughts. They scold him for not going to class again, but he catches a clear view of their underwear from his position, and it captivates his attention, so he takes a picture, which infuriates them. Kasumi still continues scolding Ren for acting like a pervert and lewd after school, while Ren blames them for standing over a sleeping man. While on their way, they spot a woman calling a priest a pervert for seeking directions from her, and she defensively asks him to stay away from her, while hitting him aggressively. Ren understands her actions because being approached by a suspicious man with the recent murder news around the city should raise anyone's security consciousness. Kasumi runs up to check on him, and he asks her for directions to the church. Kasumi chats with the father, Trifa, on their way to the church. He claims to know Rhea as Teresia because he gave her the Catholic name. He claims to have missed the path to the church because he has been away from the city for 10 years, and everywhere has changed. Kasumi asks if he is Rhea's father then, and he affirms, saying he raised her, changed her diapers, and swore to protect her. Father Trifa calls out Teresia hysterically when they arrive at the church, and he announces his return. Rhea appears from the church, and she coldly tells him to leave or die. Father Trifa displays a level of weirdness that causes Ren and Kasumi to wonder. Sister Riza comes out to scold him, asking if he wishes to be sent to the Mexican countryside again, and Father Trifa looks flustered. Riza offers Ren and Kasumi dinner as compensation for dealing with Trifa. After the meal, Ren thanks Riza for the food and compliments her cooking, while Riza apologizes for the troubles they went through. Ren tries to flatter her by discrediting Kasumi's cooking, but Riza tells him she doesn't need to be flattered. She suggests impressing Rhea because her birthday is on Christmas Day, but Rhea, emotionless as always, tells Riza not to talk about it. However, Ren offers to get her a birthday present. Rhea thanks him with a stern face, which to her is also her happy face, and she asks him to marry her, causing Father Trifa to react protectively. Trifa stops Ren on their way home, and he asks questions about Ren's background. Ren admits to being from another city, and he deduces that Trifa wants them to return to his city because of the recent killings for safety purposes. Ren explains to Trifa that he was taken in by Kasumi's parents when his parents died, but Kasumi's father also died along the way. Trifa asks if Ren would like to see his parents again, but Ren declines, saying it is impossible to see a dead person because they never come back when they are gone, and anyone who doesn't see that is crazy. Ren walks away, while Trifa feels the presence of one of his followers, Leonhardt. He gives her permission to make decisions on the grounds of Ren's words. Just as she turns to leave, Trifa notices a movement, and he questions if it is another of the vice commander's toys. He expresses disdain for him. Later at night, Ren finds himself by the beheaded dead body of the paranoid woman from before. He says confusedly that he isn't responsible for the death, and that he should not be blamed. Suddenly, the vice commander's minion, Bay, appears to Ren and accuses him of committing the murder. Ren tries to run but is stopped by Bay's partner, Malleus. She questions if he is the one Mercurius sent to murder the lady, but Ren maintains that he didn't kill her. Bei angrily kicks him off and tortures him to confess. He kicks Ren again for holding on to his legs, and he informs Malleus he will kill Ren since he is not ready to confess. Malleus agrees to his decision after realizing that torture is a delicate task for Bei, but she asks him to keep the head just in case she might need it. Ren wonders what's happening and who the duo are. He hears Bei telling him to die, and he wonders if he is truly going to die. Just as Bei strikes him, he sees a vision, and his reflexes jolt him away from the spot, causing Bei to commend his skills. Malleus tells him to try harder if he doesn't wish to die. She provokes him by reminding him about his visit to the church and his friends, whom he cares about. She makes her intentions to kill them known, which infuriates Ren, and he tries to attack her, but Bei stops him and kicks him off. Bei realizes that Ren is ready to fight back, so he challenges Ren to a fight where he will only fight with one hand, whilst Ren fights with any weapon he has. He assures Ren he will wipe the town off the map if he doesn't impress him. Bei introduces himself to Ren as Kazikli Bei, the fourth of the Longinus Dryzane Orden's Black Round Table Wilhelm Ehrenberg. He asks for Ren's name, but Ren refuses to tell him, and Ren strikes him aggressively, but Bei's strength deflects the attack. They continue with the cat and rat chase until Bei decides to summon his demonic powers in a bid to strike Ren to death. Ren at this point wishes for time to stop because he doesn't want his life to end despite being meaningless. He intends to protect and continue it. Ren sees a memory flash where a young man kneels before the girl in his visions, Marguerite. He confesses that he has fallen in love with her and swears to release her, so he asks her to give him an unknown ending. Ren returns to his battle with Bei, and he tries to defend himself against the attack, but Leonhardt arrives, and she stops Bei. Leonhardt questions what Bei is up to, and he responds that he is testing Ren because he will be useless if he dies immediately. Leonhardt confers that Ren has passed the test because he has survived the attacks regardless of the process. She informs Bei she is in charge of the matter, so he should follow her orders. Bei accepts her commands and he teases around with her. Leonhardt wonders if she should kill him, and Bei accepts her challenge. Malleus tells Ren she wishes to watch him further, but she has to stop the two barbarians, Bei and Leonhardt. She returns Ren to reality, and he finds himself seated in a park. Ren wonders if his encounter was a dream. Kasumi feels Ren's temperature the next day, and she advises him to remain at home if he isn't feeling too well, but he declines, claiming he will go to school after a while. Kasumi says his desire to go to school is strange, considering how much he detests the school. She bids him farewell, and he mentions that he just wants to feel like everything is normal. Ren arrives at school, and he sees Rhea, who advises him to be careful out of the blue. Ren meets Leonhardt and Malleus on the way. Malleus informs him they are classmates, and she introduces herself to him as Rusalka Schwagerin, while she introduces Leonhardt as Sakuri Ken. She hopes they will all be friends including Kasumi, but Ren stares speechlessly. Ren asks Malleus about their purpose for being in the school and the occurrences in the town. Malleus tells him he may be unable to return from the truth once he knows and that they may be wrong about him, but they are in no hurry. She urges him to enjoy what's left of his ordinary life while he still can. She decides to explain a little part of their plans to Ren. She confesses that there is something they have sought after for decades, and they are finally making their dreams come true, which is why they are in the city. Malleus admits that their plan is an old one, so they don't care about the people living currently. Ren shuts her up and turns to warn her against hurting his friends, but he meets with a scary sight. Malleus reveals her demonic self, and she curiously asks what he intends to do while she covers the school with her demonic shadows. She informs him she is capable of destroying the school in seconds, so she asks him to produce a way where he can win if he intends to have a discussion. Ren walks up to Kasumi, who is still waiting in the classroom and also lost in thought. He asks about her kendo practice, and she explains that the school has banned club activities because of the recent murder reports, so her mind has been uneasy. Ren asks to follow her to the practice room because he is weak and can't go home without a bodyguard. Kasumi agrees to his demands, and she calls him a princess mockingly. Just immediately after they depart, Kasumi's table breaks into two. Kasumi trains hard in the kendo room, while Ren recalls the events that have happened in the past week. He apologizes to Kasumi introspectively for not being able to tell her. He notices Kasumi training hard, as though she is possessed. He walks up to her to slow her down, and she surprisingly questions what she is doing. Ren shows her the outcome of her hard strikes, and she looks at it in shock. He offers to clean up the mess so they can leave. On their way home, Ren and Kasumi spot three little children arguing about going home together. Ren says it reminds him of their childhood days with Shiru. They reminisce about their childhood days, and Ren teases Kasumi. She calls him a pervert as always, and she asks him to come with her because she is mad with him. Kasumi takes Ren to a fun fair, and she makes him ride a merry-go-round with her. Kasumi tells him the ride is his punishment for seeing her secret. She thanks him for trying to make her feel better because she can tell. Kasumi mentions that Ren has always ensured their ordinary life does not fall apart, and he has always worked himself too hard because he cared for them. Kasumi tells him she knows he is hiding something from her because of the face he has been making. She hands him a necklace with a unique pendant while assuring him that she is on his side. Kasumi knows Ren will not talk about what prompted the fight between him and Shiru because he has a bad habit of leaving her out, despite being bothered by it. She implores him to always come to her when things get too hard because she wants to help him. Kasumi looks into Ren's face, and Ren sees another vision where Mercurius informs Margarita that he has prepared the ultimate necklace for her, so they can commence the Grand Guignol for the night. The bridge in the city catches fire, and Father Trifa walks to a flaming guillotine with Leonhardt. He detects that things have begun, and he introduces Leonhardt to Lord Kirkheisen's relic, while explaining that the synchronization has begun. Leonhardt questions if it has enough sacrifices, and Father Trifa affirms. He mentions further that Lord Kirkheisen fell at the spot 11 years before, so the souls required to open the swastika are present, but the conditions were not met previously and a delay was required. Trifa suspects that the recent murder cases are an attempt to get things started again. He asks if Leonhardt understands the power of what dwells within the guillotine, and she affirms. She proposes to supervise things in preparation for the future. Ren finds himself lying beneath Margarita. She calls him Cagliostro, and she asks what he intends to do. Ren tells her his actual name, and he asks for her own. She introduces herself to him as Marie, and she says some words to him quietly. Ren returns to reality, and he looks for Kasumi in the burning bridge. He tries to dial her number, but his hands shiver in fear of hearing any bad news. Leonhardt appears to him, and she urges him to dial her number because he would learn the answer quickly, even though he knows already. Leonhardt tells him the story of what led to the murders. A long time ago, a mage, Karl Kraft, whose second name is Mercurius, controlled the army of a certain nation from behind the scenes, and he changed them into inhuman things after he went rogue. Leonhardt tells Ren that Mercurius's symbol is a two-headed snake that can be used in two ways, as a decoy and as the real thing. The role of the decoy is to prepare the stage for the main character. Leonhardt continues talking about the incident Ren created unconsciously when Malleus and Bay caught him. She asks what Ren would have done if he had truly cut the woman and she died. Ren shuts her up because he doesn't understand her words, but Leonhardt tells him to stop acting oblivious because he needs to regain his power soon, or Kasumi's efforts to help him will be futile. Ren remembers Kasumi asking if she could do anything to help him. He runs in an attempt to search for Kasumi, but he falls into a pool of blood gushing from a seemingly possessed Kasumi. Ren admits that it is his fault, and that she shouldn't blame herself for anything happening. He tells her it is just a dream, and he asks that they go home, but Kasumi strikes him with an unknown power. Mercurius says they are at the true end of a prologue, and he dedicates the opera to his friend, the divine being, Marie. Mercurius controls Kasumi's mind, and he says some logical words to Ren. He concludes by telling Ren that what is lost cannot be regained. Ren orders him to shut up, but Mercurius's powers almost rip his hands to pieces. He tells Mercurius he hasn't lost anything yet, and he shouldn't drag innocent people into the fight. Kasumi cries out to Ren, saying his words frustrate her because it makes her seem unimportant for not being able to help him. She says she decided to help him, but it led to the situation she is in. Another attack comes in from her, but Ren blocks it off with a strange power. He tells Kasumi to listen to his words, not Mercurius. He reminds her that she has always helped him, and he would have gone crazy without her. He says intriguing words that return Kasumi's mind to its original state. Ren apologizes for being selfish, and he promises to be himself again. Kasumi falls weakly, and she calls him a truly selfish person for making her feel like an idiot. Father Trifa stands before the guillotine, and it exudes a bright emission to the sky. He feels the presence of Lord Hadric. A man named Spinna walks in, and he announces that the first swastika has opened. Trifa affirms, and he says they have 7 more to go. Trifa asks about the requested investigation, and Spin responds that it is as expected. Father Trifa laughs hysterically, and he says the vice commander is truly insane. He informs Spinne about his decision to go up against the devil. Ren pats Kasumi to sleep and urges her to rest peacefully, while he takes up the rest and defeats their attackers. Kasumi goes to the rooftop to check for Ren, but she only finds Rhea, unfortunately. She explains to Rhea that she thinks Ren is avoiding her intentionally, and she has no idea if they fought because her memory is fuzzy. Rhea tells Kasumi that her explanations are not aligning, and Kasumi says it is the reason why she needs to see Ren. Ren sits alone at the base of the school building. Leonhardt walks up to him, and she gives him accolades for choosing to avoid Kasumi. She says it is the right choice to make, because he is dangerous at the moment. Ren tries to threaten her, but she holds him against the wall, showing him he is too weak to be threatening her. She asks him to come to the same spot in the night if he wishes to learn things. The next scene shows Father Trifa sitting at a round table, meeting with the other Black Round Table members. After some deliberations, they conclude that the death of lesser beings will not take them to Valhalla, and the enemy must be a strong symbol of their glory. Trifa orders them as Lord Heidrich's stand-in to strengthen their enemies. Leonhardt explains to Ren that she was ordered to make him useful and strong enough because they need him as a worthy enemy to defeat. She mentions that she was given the job because she accepted the motion, and they are age mates, so she can be the most logical because she is not as old as the others. Leonhardt tells the story of how they came into being. During World War II, 12 soldiers and criminals gained power with Mercurius's help. They are called the Longinus Drazen Orden Black Round Table members, but over the years, some of them left or died. Leonhardt says she replaced the fifth, and they all have wishes they seek to come true. She decides not to tell Ren about their wish, since none of the older ones have told him. Leonhardt explains that Mercurius is the second most important of them, and he promised them to find a worthy opponent, so Ren is the chosen opponent. Ren wonders why he was selected when he knows nothing about them. Leonhardt tells him that he doesn't have a choice because everyone is after him, and he can complain to Mercurius if he is uncomfortable since many of the veterans dislike him. Ren deduces from her explanations that the people at the bottom of the totem pole of their Longinus Drazen Orden must satisfy the important ones for their wishes to come true. Leonhardt continues that Mercurius gave them a magic power that allows them to contract with a special weapon called Relic to gain its power. The relics are cursed weapons that consume human souls, making them stronger and harder to kill because they have the strength of the number of humans they have absorbed. Leonhardt says Ren is just like them too because he now has a power that turns souls into power, but he is still a beginner, and he will become stronger with more experience. She shows him the different stages, including the first stage, the activity level where Ren is in, formation, and creation level, but the highest level, which is the emanation level, has not been reached. She offers to teach him the basics of turning his relic into a physical weapon. Kasumi finally sees Ren coming out of the school after a long wait, and she asks questions about why he has been avoiding her. She also mentions that Ren had blocked the hole leading to their rooms. Ren stays speechless until Malleus and Leonhardt arrive. Malleus teases them about having a lover's quarrel, but Kasumi waves off her thought. Ren tells Kasumi that he is dating Leonhardt, and they all stare in shock. Ren explains that Leonhardt is a jealous lover, so she had to give Kasumi space. Kasumi smiles confusedly and she walks away from them. She mutters on her way and she hits a man unconsciously. The man turns out to be a member of the Black Round Table, and he ties Kasumi with an invisible magic web line. Ren meets with Marguerite again, and he realizes she is the soul that dwells within the guillotine. He questions how it happened to her, but she diverts her words. She touches his face, and she expresses her happiness from touching him because he is so warm. Ren spots the guillotine again, and he mentions that he has a bad memory involving blades, so he feels bad around them, but he wishes for her to be happy because she is a good girl. Ren wakes up from his dream to see Rhea and Riza. Rhea asks if Ren has seen Father Trifa, and Ren declines. Riza said he probably left because Rhea was being mean to him. Rhea tries to justify her actions by explaining the father's true character, but Riza shuts her up. Ren spots Father Trifa's figure amid the people walking, and he trails him down until he loses track of him. Father Trifa suddenly appears to him, and he realizes the two ladies asked Ren to find him, which is embarrassing to him. He concludes that they think so low of him, but Ren explains the narrative as them being worried for him, so he urges Trifa to return. Trifa tells Ren he is also worried about Rhea, but it makes him sad that she doesn't understand. He teasingly asks if Ren loves Rhea while he walks away. Ren sees another strange sensation, and he wonders if it is another imagination. He receives a call from Kasumi crying for help. Spinne continues the call, and he tells Ren that Kasumi is too sweet that he desires to eat her up. Ren tells him to stand by because he is on his way to kill him. Ren arrives at the location, but he gets caught in Spinne's web. Spinne introduces himself as the 10th of the Longinus Drazen Orden, Black Round Table. Ren tries to free himself, but Spinne tells him it is useless because it is the formation level magic. He talks about the web being his physical relic weapon, and the Black Round Table's intentions to make him strong. Spine says Leonhardt will provide the explanations to Ren, while he gives him the practical explanations. Spine tells Ren he has no intention of being his enemy, unlike the others, but he can only take his side if he proves to be useful. He uses Kasumi as bait to force him to utilize his power. Ren angrily cuts himself off the rope, and he summons his body parts with a formation spell, which surprises Spinny. A battle ensues between the two of them, and Ren evolves a demonic energy. Spinny tries to use Kasumi against him, but Trifa, who had been watching the whole time, strikes Spinny into the swastika while claiming to have perceived what Spinny could do. The other members and Lord Hydric feel the growth of the swastika. Shortly after, Kasumi scatters her room while searching for her phone. Ren walks in, and she tries to explain the situation, but he embraces her with her phone in his hand, and he expresses his gladness to see that she is okay, while the bind on her neck disappears. The story of Marguerite's birth. A crowd gathered in the center square of the city of Brittany, France in the 18th century to witness an execution. Marguerite's father rode into the city with his heavily pregnant wife and unborn Marguerite. At the execution ground, the soldier reported that the executioner ran away due to the fear of executing a priest. They wondered who would conduct the execution, so Marguerite's mother implored her husband to perform the execution to make their baby proud. He accepted her proposal, and he conducted the execution with the crowd hailing him, while his wife was put to bed under the guillotine. A few years after Marguerite grew up, her first words were the song about offering blood to the guillotine, which shocked her parents. Marguerite became an object of terror in the city because of the mystery behind her birth. She was ostracized, and she killed those who showed their disdain towards her. Mercurius saw Marguerite at the execution ground, and he fell in love with her because he was smitten. Mercury's make his desires to kneel before her, and his plans to pour his spirit into creating a divine being known. Ren wakes up from his dream, and he realizes he has just witnessed Marguerite's story. He wonders if she's still alive, or if her soul is strong. Ren sees Marguerite on his bed shockingly, and he screams, causing Kasumi to barge in. Kasumi realizes the situation, and she scolds him intensely when he mentions that he is oblivious to how the situation came to be. Kasumi calls him a scum for dating Leonhardt, embracing her, and now having another woman in his bed, but she decides to believe his words because no one else will if she doesn't. Ren wonders if the situation happened because he used the formation level power and gave form to her soul. Kasumi offers to bring clothes for her, and Ren touches Marguerite to confirm she is real. Kasumi catches Ren in action, and she screams at him again. The next day, Kasumi decides to join Ren to find Marguerite's identity, but Ren tries to discourage her from coming along. Kasumi disagrees with him, while Marguerite copies Kasumi's gestures. Kasumi talks her way into going with them, and she storms off with Marguerite, while Ren feels a presence behind him. They explore the city for the whole day, and Kasumi returns home tired. Ren apologizes to Marguerite for stressing her, and he hopes she had fun while at it. Marguerite embraces him in gratitude, and she accepts to be with him. Ren reminds her of what being her relic means, and she accepts the task because she made a promise to Cagliostro. A young lady who introduces herself as Honju Eri interrupts their conversation and asks to speak with Ren. She mentions that Shiru wishes to see him, and she asks them to come with her. Father Trifa reports the progress of the mission to Lord Hydric, and he urges him to keep trusting him. He turns to leave, but he sees a strange writing and a mission from the Lord Hydric. Honju takes Ren to the bottomless pit with Marguerite. She leads them to Shiru's room, and they find him seated on a chair. Ren and Shiru exchange silly words as usual. Ren mentions that things have been strange since Shiru left, and Shiru admits to helping him clear his mess whenever he has encounters. He mentions that he has been watching what he has been up to for the past few days, and he cleared his path to avoid being seen when he carried Kasumi home drenched in blood. Honju complains that Ren has been sending her on endless errands while he gives the order. Ren asks Shiru if his reason for doing everything is friendship, and Shiru admits that Ren is cynical, but he is right. Shiru proposes an idea for them to resolve their fight. He asks to play a part in the mess that Ren is in with the Longinus Drazen Orden, but Ren disagrees with his proposal. Honju explains that they have been dealing with the matter long before him, and they got their asses kicked after fighting with them. She mentions that they can help him because they have enough information about them, while Shiru says they are super wanted fugitives with heavy bounties on their heads. Ren defensively asks if it is about the money for them because it is not a mere fight with delinquents. Honju assures him they know how dangerous the Longinus Drazen Orden are, and it is not about just the money for them. She adds that they are currently in the city committing crimes, so they need to tell them to leave their city. Ren insists on Shiru not joining the fight because he doesn't intend to help him commit suicide. Ren stands to leave, and he listens to Shiru's rants on his way out. while Honju points a gun at his head. Ren tells Shiru he came to thank him for aiding him with Kasumi, but he cannot let him die for Kasumi's sake. Ren destroys the gun and he walks away. Ren sits with Marguerite and he apologizes for making her experience the scene, but she admits that it was fun for her. Marguerite asks Ren if he looks sad because he fought with Shiru, but Ren decides to explain the situation to her. He mentions that he and Shiru were partners in crime and they both had each other's secrets, but Shiru tried to break the arrangement so he couldn't forgive him. Ren honestly says he was only jealous of Shiru's will, and everything Shiru did was what he wished to do, which is scary to him, so he ends up hating himself around Shiru. Ren says he wants to be like Shiru, and he wishes to destroy himself like him. Ren advises Marguerite not to be with him because she was told by someone else, but because she chooses to. He wants their relationship to be a safe space where they can both proudly mention their identity. Marguerite says she also wants it to be, and she transfers herself into his hand after embracing him warmly. Leonhardt appears to Ren, and she informs him that the priest of Grail wishes to see him. She tries to tell him she will go violent on him if he resists, but Bei appears immediately, and he strikes Ren aggressively. But Ren defends himself. Bei is impressed with Ren's strength, and he asks if Ren killed Spinny, so he gives him credit for it. Leonhardt tries to stop Bei from carrying on with his threat, but Bei waves her off. Shiru arrives on a motorbike, surprisingly, and teasingly says a passing hot guy appears, while pointing his gun at them. Shiru narrates that his first deja vu happened to him a decade before when he solved trouble happening nearby the fastest way he could. After the incident, he felt familiar with his actions as though he had done a similar thing in the past, and after that day, the feeling never left him. Shiru says the situation is shitty because he can't see the future, so everything sucks. He intends to destroy the deja vu feeling, so he wants to do crazy stuff with crazy people, and he doesn't care if he dies because it is the only way he can feel alive. The weird part of the deja vu for him is that he can't die no matter what he does, and he considers himself the Supreme Being's toy. Ren screams at Shiru about his warning to stay away from the fight, but Shiru tells Ren to shut up because his life doesn't revolve around him. He tells Ren he is the star of his own life, and Ren should stay away instead. Bei interrupts them, and he rushes to strike Shiru to stop him from blabbing after showing up out of nowhere. Shiru deflects his attack, and he tells Bei that he just experienced the deja vu, so he knows his moves. Bei finds Shiru interesting, and he tells Leonhardt to deal with Ren, while he faces Shiru. Shiru tells Ren they have finally drafted a plan, and he asks if Ren now believes in his strength. Ren affirms, but he reminds Shiru that he is not helping him commit suicide, so he can't die. Leonhardt appears, and she chases after Ren, while Shiru and Bei attack each other. Bei mentions that Shiru has exceptional speed despite being a human, and he tries to strike him down, but Shiru dodges it to Bei's shock. He asks for Shiru's name and Shiru tells him. Shiru mockingly mentions that it's okay for Bei to forget his name, because Bei will die soon. Bei laughs hysterically, and he tells Shiru he can't die at night because the powers in him won't let him die. Bei transforms into his demonic form, and he tells Shiru to be proud of himself because he has not used his one-on-one fight with a normal human in 40 years. He says they are screaming and begging to suck blood, so he cannot stop. Bei attacks Shiru, and he dodges them until Bei eventually hits him. Bei asks if Shiru is hurt because he wants him to scream in pain, but Shiru emerges with his motorbike. Bei continues striking him, saying he will not let him get away. Leonhardt and Ren chase each other up to the bridge. Leonhardt asks if Ren is truly not coming with her, and he declines her invitation. Leonhardt strikes him with her relic, but Rei is undefeated by the strike, causing Leonhardt to confirm that Ren is truly not normal, just like Shiru. She says they are both bizarre, but Ren throws her off to the ocean, claiming they are the bizarre ones. Ren tries to go with her in an attempt to rescue her from drowning, but Leonhardt strikes back and she submerges him in the water. Leonhardt tells Ren she feels useless whenever she looks at him, because she has killed many people and spent many years to get to where he is. She mentions that denouncing people like her makes him feel like a hero, so she can't forgive him because she is jealous. Leonhardt stirs up the ocean, and she summons her formation relic, while Ren summons his. They both attack each other, and Ren suddenly sees his reflection. He goes berserk and returns to the bridge. Leonhardt tries to stop him, but he shrugs her aside and charges speedily towards Father Trifa, who bounces him to the back. Trifa tells Leonhardt she is still naive and she shouldn't try to understand a desperate human, because she would have been able to deal with the situation if she had been aware. Ren expresses shock at the sight of Father Trifa, and he claims the situation is impossible. Father Trifa introduces himself as the priest of the Grail, and the third of the Longinus Dryzane Orden Black Round Table, who was cursed to be an evil holy man. Honju helps Shiru with directions to help him defeat Bei. Bei charges after Shiru while sending attacks to him, but Shiru dodges them. Bei says he is still experiencing the same deja vu despite all the actions, and nothing has changed. Bei asks who Shiru truly is, because everything cannot be written off as just luck. Shiru provokes Bei, and Bei continues his attack. Shiru tells him he can't kill him anymore, so he has to work harder if he doesn't like it. Honju gives Shiru the command to derail a moving nitrogen gas tanker. The tanker blocks off Bei, and he punches it heavily in a bid to push it aside, but his body freezes after inhaling the gas, and Shiru rides his bike speedily at him to crush him off. Bei stands up to continue the fight, but he suddenly feels a sensation in the sky. He realizes what is happening, and he mockingly says Leonhardt will probably die of fear. Trifa realizes that Ren has calmed down. He tells Ren he asked to see him because he wanted to discuss their shared neighbor, Ria. He asks if Ren loves Ria and if he would kill her, because that's what it takes to fight against them. Ren angrily tells Trifa that he doesn't know anything, but he would never kill Rhea, and he won't let him kill her either, so he will beat him up and end the charade. Trifa laughs hysterically at Ren's words, because he believes in love and he thinks he will win against them. Trifa asks Lord Heydrich if he hears Ren's words, and suddenly, an evil force pulls Ren down. Lord Heydrich appears, and commends Ren's confidence for saying he would not lose to him. He says Ren's soul is worthy of being a foe, and he introduces himself as Reinhard with the title of Mephistopheles, given to him by Ren's relatives. He says he is a man who is like a devil. Lord Heydrich disappears from Ren's sight, while Marguerite feels terrified. She questions who Lord Heydrich is because he exudes fear. Ren transforms into a more intense formation stage, and he charges to attack Lord Heydrich, but he stops halfway when he sees a mighty golden figure descending from the sky. The figure destroys the bridge, and Leonhardt falls off, but Trifa rushes to save her. He instructs her to watch because that giant figure is their Lord Heydrich, a true monster. Leonhardt stares in shock, and she commends his soul. Trifa affirms that Heydrich came with his armies, numbered in millions, an army comprised of the dead from the Great War, the Einherjar of Valhalla. Trifa mentions that Heydrich is not at his full strength yet because they have just 2 swastikas open, and he doesn't know what will happen when everything gets opened, but he knows Heydrich was born in the wrong world because his mere presence destroys everything. Leonhardt shrieks in fear at the sight before her. Lord Heydrich is disappointed to see Ren giving up on the fight. He speaks with Ren, and he orders him to dance beautifully for him while calling him the son of Karl. Ren rushes off to attack the armies and he swipes them off. He evades the explosions from the machines and ships, but Heydrich calls out a spell that causes the giant figure to discharge endless fire at Ren. Ren rushes to attack Lord Heydrich, but Heydrich says he cannot defeat him if he is afraid. Ren gets stuck on Lord Heydrich's neck and he tells Ren that he lacks the love for war. Heydrich admits that his own love is destruction, so he destroys everything in the universe, and until the day he overcomes the deja vu, he awaits the Dies Irae. Lord Heydrich displaces Marguerite from Ren, and he pierces through her chest while Ren falls deep into the ocean. Marguerite falls into the ocean while feeling pain and sadness, so she calls out to Ren. Marguerite opens her eyes to find herself dancing with Lord Heydrich. Lord Heydrich welcomes her, and he informs her he has prepared a small party to celebrate her awakening, so he hopes she likes it. Marguerite questions who he is, and he introduces himself as Cagliostro's friend. He says Cagliostro spoke a lot about her as a woman, like a divine being, and he agrees with Cagliostro's strange tastes. Lord Heydrich asks Marguerite what she thinks of himself. The room suddenly transforms into a room full of skulls, and Marguerite confesses that he is frightening to her because he has let people die and also destroyed them. Lord Heydrich says Marguerite fears his path to consequence, and it is strange because the divine being he heard of will not have such feelings toward others. Lord Heydrich thought Marguerite was heartless. Marguerite suddenly feels pain through her chest and she says that she feels scared. Heydrich confesses that his love is the karma of destruction, so he shall conquer everyone with his Valhalla. He plans to teach Marguerite how to love, but she tells him that his world is wrong. Heydrich tells her they cannot receive heaven together, so there is no need for 2 rulers. He calls for celebration because a war has been declared. A scientist, who is the younger version of Mercurius, laughed hysterically and victoriously for creating the bastard child of Karl Kraft Zarathustra. He preferred to call him Ren, meaning a flower of hope born from the mud. He called Ren his son, and he said his wife and daughter would love him. Ren wakes from his thoughts, and he realizes it was his birth. He wonders what he is. Ren narrates that he has always known he would never have a normal life, and that everything would come to an end one day because the life he has is just temporary. Ren hoped that time would stop so he would not lose what was important to him, and the future would never come. Ren wakes up to find himself in chains and locked up in a cell. He calls out to Marguerite, but Rhea comes in to unlock his chains. Ren asks questions about where they are and if it is a secret basement in the church, but Rhea says he is stupid for not asking more logical questions like what is happening. Ren mentions that he already knows what he is most curious about, and he is certain she is on his side because she has chosen to help him. Rhea tells Ren he is a nasty person while she blushes a little, and she reminds him that she is a wicked woman. Rhea mentions that she has always known a day like this would come, when she realizes that her entire life is a dream and there was no way she would ever lead a normal life. Rhea says she practiced trying to feel or notice nothing, hoping that everything would simply end, and she was too frightened to do anything. Rhea cries into Ren's arms, and Ren confesses that he was the same too. He knew this day would come someday, but he pretended and ignored anything he didn't want to see. He tells Rhea it is not too late to do something because he has not given up and hasn't lost anything yet. Rhea, still in tears, jokes with a serious face, and she tells Ren to rape her or kill her in the instant. She storms off from the room and instructs Ren to handle the rest himself. Rhea walks through the passage, and she sees Father Trifa Riza standing on the way with Riza. Father Trifa tells her she gives up quickly, which may not be fun for Ren, and she should have seen her idea through. He mocks her that nothing can be done about some things truly. Rhea orders him to shut up because she doesn't intend to speak with him, and she walks away. Father Trifa visits Ren in the cell, and he apologizes for Rhea's rudeness. He asks Ren that Lord Hydrick awaits him, and they leave together. On the way, Trifa and Ren discuss Rhea's situation. Trifa says Rhea knows nothing about the situation, because she was born in the present era, and she has lived a normal life. But he assumes that living with creatures like them since childhood has tipped her off to something. Trifa tells Ren to be more worried about himself, not Rhea, because he wouldn't want to be in his shoes. Trifa opens the door and leads Ren in. He wishes Ren good luck from the depth of his heart because Lord Hydrick is a man like no other and cannot be judged as a human being. Ren walks in fearlessly, and he arrives at the black round table. Ren sees an inscription on the chair, and he wonders what it means. Lord Hydrick appears and tells him it means Hagal, also destruction or the end. Lord Hydrick gives it all sorts of destructive meanings, and he concludes it with the major meaning, Dies Irae, which is what he awaits. Lord Hydrick tells Ren to sit because he values politeness, unlike Father Trifa, who may have frightened him. Ren sits on a chair, and Lord Hydrick calls his choice a symbolic one. He intends to tell Ren about whose chair he is seated on, but Ren discards it, saying he doesn't care. Ren asks what Hydrick wants to do to him, and Hydrick explains that he only intends to have a conversation, which surprises Ren. Lord Hydrick admits to Ren that he is a prisoner of deja vu and has repeated their current meeting an infinite number of times without the slightest deviation. He no longer dismisses it as a hallucination since he met with Mercurius, whom Hydrick calls Karl. Karl Kraft has been known to possess several names, and Hydrick lists some as Saint-Germain, Paracelsus, Faust, Cagliostro, and Mercurius, which he is commonly known by. Ren asks Hydrick how many years Mercurius has been in existence, and if he truly believes in the information. Hydrick tells him it is unimportant because Mercurius had power, and they had similar objectives, so there was no problem between them. Hydrick admits to forming a friendship with him, and the whole world now seems blurry due to that, so the situation is now worse than his initial feeling of a passionless life. Hydrick mentions that he has never felt a sense of achievement, liberation, or fulfillment, no matter his position, glory, or honor surrounding him. Ren asks why he feels this way, and Hydrick replies that according to Karl, he should have been born in a different world, so controlling himself would be untrue to his life, which is why destruction is his path. He wishes to embrace his nature and destroy the world for his satisfaction. Hydrick says he must create a world that should be, and cause it to flow, so it can be the end of his deja vu. Hydrick claims to have sacrificed Berlin once, but it wasn't enough, because the result of making a world to rival the law of deja vu shifted it to another dimension, and to invade it again, he must sacrifice the town. Ren objects to his motive angrily, but Hydrick tells him he is directing his anger to the wrong person because Karl has been building a second Berlin in the town since the Second World War. Hydrick claims the city has 8 battlefields, where many souls have been sacrificed to open 2 of the battlefields, also called the swastika. He says more blood and soul penitents are required to conquer the other 6 battlefields, which is where they need Ren. Hydrick asks Ren to conquer the 8 battlefields in Shambhala for him to manifest, and refusal will only result in meaningless deaths. He asks for Ren's choice, and Ren threatens him to release Marguerite, while also promising Hydrick that he will see his end. Heydrich laughs mockingly at Ren, and he says risking his life is pointless, but he accepts his choice. He releases Marguerite to him and bids him farewell. Ren realizes Heydrich is gone, and he recalls he talked a big game. He wonders what to do, but he says he is glad that Marguerite has returned. Marguerite wakes up and wonders what she was doing, because Heydrich struck her on her chest. She opens her collar for Ren to see, but she feels embarrassed immediately. She realizes what she just did. Ren says she has never worried about that before, and he wonders what is different. Mercurius and Lord Heydrich both laugh hysterically at their actions. Father Trifa calls on members of the Longinus Dryden Orden. He informs them that the wait is over and war will come at dawn, which is near. He tells them to let the war drive them into the depth of madness. They have 2 swastika open with the sacrifice of Lady Kircheisen and Spinna, but they both lack being worthy of sacrifice to Lord Heydrich as the golden blessing. Trifa says they still have 6 more swastika, and they are 6 in number, so things will work out if they are not greedy. He reminds them that Lord Heydrich wants blood because he is still the same as in the old days, and he urges them to keep it in mind when acting as his fangs and claws. He permits 3 sacrifices on different days for the swastika. He chants their slogan, and they ask for victory. Trifa says he does not expect Lord Heydrich to just wait for them. In Lord Heydrich's castle, he commands his Einherjar, Samuel, to open the 5th swastika with force. While pounding them into shape, Kasumi watches the news about the destroyed bridge in the city. She detects it is not time for school because strange things are happening, and Ren is also missing. She undresses her uniform, intending to play detective, but she meets Honju at the door, and she tases her. Shortly after, Ren returns to the room to find a writing by Honju, asking Ren to give her a call because she has his woman. Ren places a call immediately, and he questions what she is up to. Honju informs him that Kasumi is safe with them, and she puts the phone on speaker for him to hear Kasumi scolding Shiru loudly for making her worried, while he has been spending his time messing around. Honju assures Ren that Shiru and Kasumi are both fine. Ren heaves a sigh of relief, and he says it saves him some trouble because he was initially concerned about her going to school. Honju mentions that Kasumi didn't plan on going to school either. She asks if Ren has finally decided to talk to them, and he affirms, saying he wants the information they have. Shiru takes the call and speaks to Ren, but Ren implores him to keep details of their fight from Kasumi. Shiru agrees to do his bidding, while Kasumi tries to speak to Ren, but Shiru drags her off. Shiru teases Kasumi, asking if she got any further with Ren, or if she'll remain a virgin forever, while Honju continues her discussion with Ren. Marguerite changes into different dresses in Kasumi's wardrobe. Ren relays the information about the priest of Grail and Rhea to Honju. He mentions that Father Trifa promises not to hurt Rhea, and he knows he isn't lying outrightly, although he doesn't trust his judgment. Ren asks Honju if she knows about the 8 locations of their swastikas, and she affirms, saying Suwahara City has always had a bunch of weird companies. She says that the whole town may have been made for their purpose because her grandpa said the same thing. Ren asks about her grandpa, and Honju tells him that her family owns the Honju General Hospital, where he was admitted with Shiru. Ren is surprised to hear about her family background, and he tells her she acts uncouth for someone from a rich family. Honju waves him off and continues that she is aware of the shady things in the city because of her family. Ren mentions the 2 locations of the open swastika as the park and the museum. Honju detects 3 other locations, the hospital, the school, and the church, which she thinks Ren might also know about. Ren says he didn't consider the hospital, and he asks for the other 3 locations. Honju mentions the amusement park, the tower, and the city hall because they are all places where they have strong influences, and many people also gather, so there won't be a shortage of sacrifices. Honju asks Ren what he intends to do because he can't protect everywhere simultaneously. Ren replies that he will go to the school first because he cares about it the most, even though it is selfish of him. He also adds that Leonhardt and Malleus have been visiting the school lately. He implores Honju to do something about the people at the hospital, and she promises to do her best. Marguerite appears to Ren after her fashion display to show Ren her look in Kasumi's uniform since they are going to school. Ren commends the dress, and they both leave for school. While at school, Marguerite detects that everyone is acting strange, and she mentions it to Ren, who agrees with her. Ren notices Leonhardt, Malleus, and Rhea's absence. He realizes the students were brought to school through hypnosis, and they wanted to ensure that no one escapes, but he wonders why they are not in the school. Marguerite calls out to him to sit down because he has been worrying too much. He agrees to rest, and he mentions that he is hungry. Marguerite offers to get him something, but he declines. Marguerite tells Ren to tell him about the fun activities he has experienced in school, and Ren narrates his experience with the troublemakers, Kasumi and Shiru. He loved their trouble because it was fun, and he met Rhea on the rooftop in his first year when he wanted to get away from everyone. They all became friends, and were happy until a little while ago when they all got separated. Marguerite asks if she can be the fifth person in their circle, and Ren smiles approvingly. Malleus dances seductively in the bottomless pit club with a group of boys, and she kills all of them shortly after as sacrifices to the swastika. Shiru and Honju detect her presence, so they proceed to find her, while Honju tases Kasumi again because of her curiosity. Shiru instructs Honju to hide her somewhere, and Honju agrees, saying they lied to Ren, but he may get scared later if Kasumi dies. Malleus chants some spells, and she opens the swastika. Ren feels the opening of another swastika, and he wonders where it is. Honju and Shiru arrive to attack Malleus, but their attacks against her prove futile. She tells them she took Bei's position in the bottomless pit because she is greedy and she will still take over the school. Malleus absorbs Shiru and Honju, but they look unbothered. Shiru says it is another deja vu, while Honju says she is boring. Malleus crushes them angrily, and she wonders what they are talking about. Bei sees the swastika, and he questions Trifa about his intentions. Trifa apologizes to Bei, saying he didn't mean to get in his way. Bei asks Trifa why he has been tailing him all day, and why he has been on his ass. He thought Trifa intended to kill him, but he realized his mission was different. Trifa explains to Bei that he had something to do at the place he wanted to go, so he tailed him because he wanted to do things as quietly as possible, but it only made things worse. Trifa says the good thing is that it is still fixable, but Bei walks away from him, saying he thinks he can get away from him after those words despite interrupting him for his own purposes. Bei asks Trifa what he was secretly planning with Spinne because it seemed like he purposely shut him up. Trifa smirks at Bei's observation. Sister Riza walks through the basement of the church into the darkest parts while muttering the word mother. She recalls her experience when all the children who knew her as their mother had died because of a failed experiment. She birthed a boy who took so much resemblance after Lord Heydrich, his father, and her eyes were gripped with intense fear, causing her to scream. She continues walking endlessly until Leonhard appears to stop her. Some detectives discuss the incident that occurred in the bottomless pit. They infer that the pool of blood belongs to about 100 humans, but the bodies are nowhere to be found. The detective says they have to question a girl they found in the club because she is their only clue, while they leave the other girl, who claims to be oblivious to what occurred, but he instructs them to keep an eye on her. Ren sits beside Kasumi on the hospital bed, where she is lying unconscious. Ren has a dream where his grandfather scolded him for joining the army to become a soldier instead of taking up the family duty of being an executioner. Ren says the family duty of murdering people is the same as his intended career, but he wants a job he is proud of, unlike the family business. His grandfather calls him scum and hopes he dies on the battlefield. Ren tells his colleague his story about his grandfather, and he asks him to tell his own story. His colleague laughs, and he recalls his comrade in arms to be Mercurius and Heydrich. Ren wakes up from his dream, and he leaves for the rooftop where he finds Marguerite surprisingly. He guesses she doesn't get sick, so she may not feel cold. Marguerite tells him she wanted to see the roof because Ren liked it and was always staying there with his friends. Marguerite says she is getting used to the air, so she can be the group's 5th member. She thinks it will be all kinds of fun considering the things they will talk about on the rooftop. Ren remembers Honju and Shiru. He wonders why Honju didn't tell him about the club since she must have known about it. He questions if Shiru talked her into it, and if she wanted to kill herself because they are now missing. Marguerite stops him from worrying, and she assures him they are alive because she is certain of it. Ren questions why she is so sure of it, and Marguerite replies that she has not seen him smile since they met. She wonders if it is because of her, or if he regrets ever meeting her. Marguerite says she has decided to make him happy, and she assures him that nothing sad will happen because she won't let it. Ren concurs with her words, and he says Kasumi is okay, so Honju and Shiru are probably okay as well. Marguerite tells Ren that she has noticed a little change in herself since Heydrich pierced her chest. She now understands their emotions, and she feels scared too. She feels warm and sad, but she's also happy. Marguerite asks Ren if she should discard the feelings since Heydrich did it to her, but Ren urges her to keep her feelings. Ren says he likes her more that way, and he reminds her of their plan to have their own wills in their relationships. Marguerite embraces him, and she agrees to keep being that way. Riza approaches the hospital to complete the swastika, but Ren stops her. He discredits her outfit and jumps down to meet her. Ren tells her to leave because he won't let her through, but she asks him to leave instead. She says he can leave with Kasumi, but she won't let him take anyone else. Ren begs her to leave for Rei's sake because no one wants to associate with a murderer as their family. Riza thanks Ren for speaking so highly of her, but she cannot do his bidding because she is not as kind as he is. Riza says Rhea understands and expects nothing better, so Rhea dislikes her. While she is frightened of Rhea, she summons Leonhardt to stall him while she opens the swastika in the building. Riza tells Ren he is too naive and optimistic for a relative of Karl Kraft. She mentions that he is a wonderful boy, but this is where things will end badly for him. Ren tries to stop her, but Leonhardt tells him he has to defeat her first. She intends to use her full strength so as not to bore him. Ren wonders what she means by her true strength, and Leonhardt reveals that she is at the level of creation. She tells him that she will never forget her vows, so that her desire can be granted. She summons her creation power, and she gets covered up in flames. Ren tries to strike through the flames, but she tells him it's useless because he can't cut through flames, and flames will not break, nor can they be stopped. Leonhardt cuts Ren deeply, and his blood spills excessively. Riza spots Trifa inside the hospital, and he says she caught him despite his intentions to stay hidden. Riza mentions that he can't fool her because the people in the hospital are not awake despite the noise outside, so she knows it must be his doing. She asks him to leave, but he refuses, saying he has known her for a long time, and killing hospital patients while they flee is not her thing. Riza admits, and she tells him to leave because she doesn't want to be seen. Trifa asks if she feels guilty for being a murderer, and she affirms saying it is too late, but that's how she has always been. She explains that she doesn't want to kill, but she must kill, and she won't change her decision. She wants to continue having uncertainty because she doesn't want to end up like him and lose her humanity. Trifa stops Riza while she walks past him. He asks who the father of her son is because he is aware she has 2 sons. Trifa asks how she decided which son to sacrifice to the Black Round Table and the son she allowed to live as a human. He asks if the son is similar to his father and if she fears his blood. He also questions if that is why she continues to abandon Rhea. Riza tries to strike him, but he holds her back. He mentions that the situation is his problem because he loves Rhea, but he is uncertain of her exact origins. He wonders if it is his own love, or if they are emotions that cling to the body he is using. Trifa says he will find out for himself, and he knows how to go about it because the son Trifa freed and whose happiness she longs for as his mother, Johan's bloodline, exists in Shambhala. He claims he can prove that his love for Rhea is his own if he gives her son up. Riza disagrees with Trifa, saying she let her son live and won't allow Trifa to carry on with his plan. Trifa asks Riza if her final judgment is Rhea's death, and Riza affirms. She says she won't let him deny who she is. Trifa deduces that his first question was correct. Riza sacrificed Isaac because he reminded her of his father, and she couldn't love him while she loved Johan. Trifa tells Riza that she is not a mother while Riza summons her relic, Cain. Trifa concludes that she wants to die, and it will prevent Rhea's heart from breaking. Cain charges toward Trifa. Ren and Leonhardt spot the opening of another swastika in a different location. Leonhardt concludes they have opened 4 swastika, and the hospital's swastika will make it 5. She says Lord Heydrich will grant the wish of returning her loved ones to life when the swastika opening is complete. Ren realizes that Heydrich intends to raise back the dead, and he screams at Leonhardt. Leonhardt deliriously says it is insane, but it is the miracle she longs for, and her only mission is to kill about 2,000 people that she knows nothing about. She concludes that anyone else would take the offer, but Ren shuts her up, saying if they are that important, nothing she sacrificed would be enough. He says that her great deal lowers the value of the ones she loves. Wavered by his words, Leonhardt angrily tells Ren to shut up because he knows nothing about her. Just immediately, a strong force strikes Leonhardt down, and the voice says her words are disgusting, so she is lost while Ren has spoken well. Samuel, whom Heydrich had sent, appears and calls Ren the bastard child of Karl Kraft. She asks him to come so she can judge the blade offered to Lord Heydrich, and his bones will not remain if it is dull. Leonhardt narrating the story of her great-grandfather. Her great-grandfather was a great blacksmith who was invited to Germany to replicate the Holy Lance. Replicating famous blades was a standard precaution to keep them from wear and theft, but there was a miscalculation or a planned work of the hirers. Leonhardt says her grandfather was so capable that the replica he made was more than a replica. The Holy Lance he replicated, possessed, and killed him. Her great-grandfather was given the title Tubal-Cain, the founder of blacksmithing. Afterward, members of the Sakurai bloodline became possessed by the blade and have been part of the Black Round Table. She says their corpses still move with their souls sucked out, but the lance moves to the next person when they decay, which is a never-ending process. Leonhardt says her turn will come, but her brother had once tried to keep her from that fate. He promised her not to be bothered, because he would end everything, and she would be happy. Leonhardt, as a child, happily told her brother, Kai and Beatrice, that she loved them. Leonhardt says her stupidity as a child infuriated her, because she believed everything would stay the same with no logical basis. Her loved ones were all gone before she knew it, so she wants to regain them back no matter what the sacrifice is because she loves them. Trifa detects the presence of Samiel, and he asks Riza to suspend their hostilities because they don't have the time. He deduces that Samiel has received orders to open the 5th swastika. Trifa tells Riza she is the target for the opening of the 5th swastika by Samiel, and Samiel will pull the trigger if she makes the wrong move. Trifa proposes to help her protect Johan's grandchild since he has gone unnoticed, but Riza disagrees. Trifa asks if she trusts him so little, and he tells her she needs to be smarter about it. He asks how many people she has allowed to die because of her stubbornness. Riza asks if Trifa can still tell how people feel anymore. She tells the story of how he was weak and pathetic before, but she liked him because he was human. Although she knows that a part of him shamed him, she wonders how he completely lost his humanity. Trifa says she has no right to say that to him, and Riza admits they are both stupid to think they can protect people. Riza transfers her eye to Cain, and she tells Trifa that Ren will protect Johan's grandchild because men protect women. She tells Trifa to stand there and be good because Cain will attack him if he moves. She uses the fact that he can't conceal himself when fighting as leverage, and she walks away. Trifa tries to stop her, but Cain prevents him. Samiel wonders what Riza is trying to do. She orders Leonhardt to go and prevent her from taking action. Samiel tells Ren to leave because nothing will happen if he remains there. She asks if he wants her to show what she can do, and she attacks him with flames, but he jumps over it. She commends Ren for having good instincts, but she keeps attacking him while asking if he intends to run. The flame catches up with Ren, and he falls in pain, but Samiel says he should die instead if he stupidly desires to fight Lord Heydrich in his state. She says her instructions were to strengthen him, not keep him alive, and she wonders how long he can survive the flames. Ren screams in pain from the attacks, but he defends himself and lands on the floor heavily. Samiel thanks him for showing his enthusiasm, but she motivates him to stand up because Lord Heydrich isn't as nice as she is. Marguerite suddenly appears, and she tries to defend Ren. Samiel says the love of a divine being is required to be a hero. Samiel introduces herself to Marguerite, and she asks her objective for interrupting them. Marguerite stays mute for a moment until she finally orders Samiel to stand back because she won't let her do anything to Ren. Samiel asks Marguerite if she intends to fight the three of them, but Marguerite says she is the only one with the intention to hurt Ren. Samiel looks at their faces, and she admits that Marguerite is right, but Leonhardt says Samiel has the final command to give. Samiel faces Riza, and she asks for her own intention, but Riza tells Samiel to stay out of the situation because she wasn't around initially, so she has no right to give commands. Riza tells Leonhardt that Samiel has already sacrificed Berlin, and she has had her wish of being immortal granted. She tells Samiel all the human souls in the building belong to her, and Samiel admits that she doesn't need the souls anymore, but she is on Lord Heydrich's command. Samiel tells Riza she has been too stuck with her to know that she is evidently protecting someone in the building, and she doesn't want it blown away. But she doesn't care, because she hates her. Samiel gives Leonhardt the order to kill Riza if she moves, and she suggests they kill each other if they both want the 5th swastika. Samiel walks up to Marguerite, and she asks him to wake Ren up to instigate things with the others, but Marguerite declines. She asks if Marguerite understands what it means to fight. Samiel touches Marguerite, and Marguerite displaces her head, but Samiel refixes it back, asking if Marguerite didn't hear their conversations where they mentioned her immortality. Samiel says Marguerite is not prepared to kill, so she can't kill her. Marguerite mutters sadly that she only wants to be the 5th, and she doesn't want Ren and Kasumi to go because they matter to her. Samiel throws and kicks Marguerite aggressively, while asking her to show her resolve to fight against her, but Marguerite takes in the pain. She realizes that's how Ren had been feeling all the while, and she apologizes for making him feel the pain alone. Ren regains consciousness, and he scolds Samiel for hurting his girl. Samiel apologizes, saying she is only following her master's orders, but it seems to have worked. Ren apologizes to Marguerite for getting hurt because of him, but she discards it, and she asks that they fight together so they can win. She promises to protect him, and she faces Samiel to threaten her for hurting her man. Marguerite transforms into Ren's blade, and another round of battle ensues between Ren and Samuel. On the other hand, Leonhardt is still withholding Samuel's command to stop Riza from moving. Riza tells Leonhardt to think about the situation because everyone will be killed when Samuel is done charging up. Riza advises Leonhardt to run before it gets too late. Leonhardt asks what guarantee she has that Riza won't attack her, but Riza assures her that her means of attack, Cain, is with Father Trifa, who is presently in the building. Samuel's relic completes charging up, and she tells Ren that he is too late. Father Trifa tries to escape, but Cain stops him. Riza sends Cain up to Ren, and she apologizes to him for having a selfish desire, but she wants him to save Rhea as well. Ren lands in Kasumi's room, and he carries her away speedily, while Cain carries Leonhardt to safety. Samuel realizes what Riza has planned, and she blows everywhere off angrily. Riza apologizes to her children, Johann, Isaac, and Rhea, before getting blown away. Ren runs speedily to avoid being blown, and he summons the level of creation to stop time. The time stops for a few seconds and Ren runs past the explosion speedily. Samuel expresses her anger for Ren's escape, and she tries to send another flame, but a voice orders her to fall back immediately. Machina arrives, and he informs her that she has completed her mission. Samuel agrees with him, and she apologizes for trying to catch his prey. Machina tells her that Lord Heydrich plans to open the 6th swastika himself. Samuel spots Trifa walking through the flame, and she admits he is the only one that can withstand it. She wonders what to do with him. Trifa arrives at the spot where Ren is holding Kasumi. Trifa realizes that Samuel has spotted him. He proposes to form an alliance with Ren. He offers to tell Ren everything, and he informs him that Riza is dead, so they need revenge. Kasumi's father proposing to her mother while they were younger. Years later, Kasumi was born, and she grew up to be a playful child. Kasumi's father informs his wife about the death of his friend and his intention to adopt his son, Ren. He implores her to accept, even though it may be difficult for her. She accepts to take him in, saying Kasumi will be happy to have an older brother. Shortly after the day, Kasumi's father introduces Ren and Kasumi to each other. Kasumi tries to greet Ren, but he pushes her off, and they both argue with each other, while their parents separate them. Shiro passes by their compound, and he spots them arguing. The next scene shows Shiro's older self floating, and Mercurius says, "That's how Shiro's story began." Mercurius offers to tell him the requisite conditions to be the star toy of the Supreme Being. Mercurius keeps talking until Shiro shuts him up, asking who he is. Shiro says he keeps talking about crap he didn't ask about because that is not what he wishes to know. Mercurius asks if Shiro's lingering question is about why he is still alive. Mercurius calls it a foolish question because Shiro knows the answer, that as long as he feels the deja vu, he cannot die, and he can never die because he will not allow him to die. Shiro wonders what he means, and Mercurius offers to tell the story from the beginning. Mercurius says a minor change occurred in Shiro's life when a new neighbor, Ren, arrived. Mercurius asks what Shiro thought about Ren while he just came in, and Shiro replies that he only thought he was gloomy. Mercurius asks Shiro if he thinks that's the reason they built a long-lasting friendship to date. The scene flashes back to the time Kasumi's father wanted to experiment on Ren, but Shiro came in and killed him fearlessly. Mercurius tells Shiro that day launched him into his deja vu. Mercurius explains that Kasumi's father was not from a normal background because his role was to culture and incubate something he envisioned from the war. Kasumi's father also tried to incorporate another bloodline called eugenics, so both Ren and Kasumi were not born normally. Mercurius tells Shiro he is the greatest rule breaker amongst them, but he is still the most normal, and he would have died as a normal human if he had not involved himself with them. Mercurius tells Shiro he was never supposed to be a part of that, but he committed murder because he took the place of Ren's desire to destroy his false everyday life, since he couldn't tell Kasumi about what was happening. Mercurius says that's just how his friend Heydrich is to him, so Shiro is a manifestation of a wish for destruction, the self-destruction factor. He promises Shiro that he will not allow him to die as long as he doesn't surpass the deja vu. Mercurius urges Shiro to show him the unknown conclusion, because that is why he has given him incredible power and luck. Shiro asks Mercurius if he thinks he is the Supreme Being, or if he and Heydrich are the Supreme Being's toys. Mercurius assures Shiro that his son Ren's friendship with him is real, just as his friendship with Heydrich, but he explains that when they are high up or they imagine themselves falling or harming themselves, they always build a destructive friendship, just the way Shiro destroyed Ren's normal life when he killed Kasumi's father. Mercurius hopes Shiro disrupts things again, while Shiro walks away. Rhea feels pains in her stomach after seeing flashes of some scenes. Malleus arrives at the church, and she mockingly expresses how sorry she feels for Rhea for feeling pain every time a swastika opens. Malleus informs Rhea that Riza is dead, and Riza was her great-grandmother, but she assures her not to worry because Riza was a very evil mother, and all the pain she is suffering is because of her. Malleus laughs hysterically, and she urges Rhea to laugh, but Rhea shuts her up. Malleus tells Rhea not to get upset because she will die soon, while she will get to live. Malleus relays her intention to sacrifice Rhea, Riza, and tens of thousands of people, just so she can be immortal. Malleus angrily throws Rhea away for staring at her disgustingly. Rhea laughs and tells Malleus that it seems her own stomach has started hurting as well. Just immediately, Bay arrives in the church, and he approaches Malleus, who asks him to stop in his track. Malleus asks if Bay intends to fight her for killing Shrew, but Bay tells her she cannot kill Shrew since he can't do it. He suspects she absorbed him in her relic weapon, but she gets defensive and tries to attack him. Suddenly, she feels intense pain in her stomach, and Shrew forces his way out of her, causing great harm to her body. Bay expresses his gladness to see that his hopes have not been betrayed. Another battle ensues between Bay and Shrew. Bay decides to use his creation-level strength because he knows Shrew will absorb Malleus's strength. Malleus mutters that she doesn't wish to die, while Rhea realizes she is going to die. She decides to make it faster, but a great interference disturbs her intention. A giant monster appears suddenly, and Malleus detects the presence of Schreiber, a higher-ranked black round table monster. Schreiber greets Malleus, and Malleus begs him for mercy. Malleus tells Schreiber that she loves him and wants to live with him, so she doesn't wish to die. Schreiber embraces her pretentiously, and he mentions that she loves Malleus as well. Malleus asks him to protect her, but Schreiber displaces her body unexpectedly. He laughs hysterically while saying he will kill the one who hurt his beloved that way. He continues displacing Malleus's body, and he claims he has never killed anyone for such a reason, so he will certainly avenge her. Rhea collapses at the disgusting sight. Bay and Shrew continue their endless battle. Shrew successfully displays Bay's arms, and he attempts to shoot him, but a female figure appears from his back. Bay introduces her to Shrew as his mother and sister. He mentions that she appears when he gets excited. They both charge at Shrew aggressively, leaving him no chance to attack until Bay destroys Shrew's stomach, but it restores to normal instantly. Bay commends Shrew's strength and they proceed to attack each other again, but Schreiber arrives and displaces Bay into pieces. He sacrifices him for the swastika opening after telling him he is there for Shrew. After the opening, Schreiber commends Shrew for fighting strongly against Bay. He asks if Shrew is responsible for Malleus's conditions, because it appears they are in love, and he needs to get revenge. Malleus begs for life, but Schreiber punches her wickedly. Schreiber tells Shrew he has to kill him, but he has the chance to flee until Malleus dies. He promises to find him and rip him apart afterward. Schreiber reminds him of who he is as the Einherjar of Lord Heydrich, a hero brought to the Golden Valhalla. The scene opens with Mercurius and Lord Heydrich playing a game of chess while discussing their sense of déjà vu that came into place because the world was created to repeat itself consistently. They both conclude that the only way to be rid of the déjà vu is to take the Supreme Being's throne. Mercurius tells Heydrich that the current Supreme Being destroyed his predecessor and usurped the throne. He implores Heydrich to reach the emanation stage of the 4 magic levels he gave him to get enough strength for the task. Mercurius, in the present time, tells his friend Heydrich that he didn't lie when they had the conversation, but he can kill him because he wants him to. Mercurius says the only conclusion he longs for is to relinquish the throne to someone of his choosing. Ren drops Kasumi on the bed, and he walks out to meet Trifa. Trifa narrates the story of Riza to Ren. He tells Ren that Riza is Rhea's great-granddaughter, but Rhea is unaware of it. Riza formerly belonged to the Lebensborn Association, an organization that attempted to bring humanity to the next level of evolution called eugenics. Riza's goal was to mass-produce people with superpowers, but unfortunately, the plan failed because of the children's inability to handle their powers, so they broke like overheated machines, and Riza had to kill them all. Trifa says Riza sacrificed Isaac, her child, who was also Ren's grandfather, for the swastika so she could bring the children back to life. Ren deduces that Rhea was born when Isaac's soul combined with Lord Heydrich using eugenics. Trifa says they need a second Berlin because the first one was not enough, so they will need another Isaac, which in the current case is Rhea. Ren informs Trifa that Riza told him to save Rhea while they were at the hospital. Trifa confirms that the mind of a woman is a terribly complicated thing. Trifa tells Ren that Riza's internal discord was more important to her than anything, and they both almost fought themselves to their death in the hospital, but in the end, she left feeling victorious. Trifa wishes to see the outcome of the decision Riza entrusted Ren with, and he reminds Ren that the most efficient way to seal Lord Hydrick away is to kill Rhea. He questions what Ren intends to do with Rhea, and Ren reconfirms his choice to protect her. Trifa says he wants to do the same, and Ren wonders if he will choose between Rhea and his wish of reviving a loved one coming true. Trifa explains that his wish can only come true once the miracle is incomplete, and Rhea has to be alive for it to be incomplete. Trifa also says everyone who thinks Lord Hydrick will give them a world where their loved ones will resurrect is naive. According to him, they sign the devil's contract in their greed for gold, but the love for destruction only leads to greater war. Leonhardt dreams about living happily with her brother and Beatrice, his wife. She says she can't get rid of the dream because it says it might have been possible, so she's relying on the miracle and will do all it takes to make it happen, regardless of who hates her, who she kills, or who she loses. Leonhardt wakes up from her dream to tell Tubal-Cain that she had a dream where she was happy. Ren approaches Shirou and Leonhardt, who are now together because Shirou took over Malleus from the inside. He remembers Trifa's words about the 5 elements of golden alchemy. The first is Rhea, the second is Lord Hydrick's relic which can't be destroyed, and the last 3 are the battalion leaders for the Black Round Table, Machina, Samuel and Schreiber. Trifa says defeating one of them is a tough task, so he needs an alliance. Leonhardt asks if Ren intends to fight with her because she is ready to accept the challenge. Ren asks Trifa to interfere because he looks like he is enjoying their brawl. Trifa stands up from where he is seated and tries to explain, but Tubal-Cain charges to attack him. Trifa blocks off the attack, and he explains to them that Riza left a program with it, so it might be the trigger. Trifa tells Tubal-Cain that his attacks are useless against him because the Grail cannot be destroyed, but Cain, being a monster without a mind to comprehend, attacks him regardless. Trifa asks Ren for help with Cain, but Ren hesitates. Shirou says he knew about the Priest of Grail's strength, but seeing it is freaking him out. Ren calls out to him, and Shirou explains that he knows because he stole information about the Longinus Dryzane Orden from Malleus. Shirou tells Ren that teaming up with Trifa is a stupid decision. Leonhardt wonders why Father Trifa is making a different decision, and Trifa tells her to ask herself for the answer. He tells Ren it will be difficult for them to cooperate officially, but he says it doesn't change their task of defeating the 3 battalion leaders to save Rhea. He says the mission will take place in the church the next evening, but Ren needs to learn the emanation level, which is above the creation level. He assures Ren it is not a difficult task, and he transfers the magic to him, causing Ren to lose consciousness. Mercurius, while seated on his throne, says he created the universe according to his laws, but he can no longer stop on his own will, so he has waited billions of years for the birth of the one who would replace him. Mercurius visits Marguerite, and he mentions that he created the unending recurrence so he could meet her. He says that meeting her was the one repeated act he loved, so he wishes for her to make the world of the divine being flow outward before he commits suicide. He confesses that he cannot hold back his desire to be destroyed by his self-destructive impulse, so he is doing everything for her, and he hopes she grants his wish. Mercurius walks away, while Ren appears to meet Marguerite in a sad state. Ren wonders what's wrong with her, and Marguerite explains that she has never felt bothered about it before, but she now feels she has changed a lot since she met Ren. She now thinks about herself and everyone else. Marguerite says she remembers what Cagliostro told her before, about the world repeating itself. Marguerite says if she dies, she will return to her mother's belly and live the same life over again, but it doesn't make sense to her if it's true. She concludes that there are no such things as ghosts in that world, and she asks Ren what she is then. Ren replies that he can't provide answers to questions about memories because he also has a similar memory, and he doesn't think it is just a dream. He says if it is real, then he is as crazy as she is, so he is breaking the rules of the world. Marguerite assures him that he is not crazy because he is different, and he can stay that way. Marguerite says she is happy she met Ren, and she desires to stay with him longer, but she thinks she would be getting in the way. Ren tells her about the guilt he feels from seeing Kasumi's dad get killed in his presence and his inability to tell Kasumi about it. He concludes that he should have a hard time dealing with ghosts, but he doesn't think there's anything wrong with Marguerite, and he is glad they met. Marguerite asks why Ren is being so nice to her when she made him do hurtful and evil things. Ren decides to complain, and Marguerite says she is ready to accept his complaints, but Ren thanks her for making him understand how he can atone because she is the answer. He says there's a way that's only possible because of her, so he will save and protect it. Mercurius also says he will pray for their wish to come true. He calls Marguerite the divine being of Twilight, the next throne of the Supreme Being. Rhea finds herself seated in the Black Round Table, and she sees Samuel by her side, who introduces herself as Riza's friend. Seeking confirmation, Rhea asks Samuel if Riza is truly her great-grandmother, and Samuel affirms. Samuel confesses to killing Riza as her way of showing friendship. She tells Rhea to do her job if she truly wants to do something for Riza. Samuel is certain that nothing she says will sway Rhea, but she advises her to say goodbye to the life she has lived because a great undertaking is upon them. Samuel adds that Rhea knows who she should be asking questions and won't get in her way, but she needs to hurry. Samuel disappears from the round table, leaving Rhea alone with her thoughts. The next scene reveals Father Trifa in the past while he was still a priest who happily cared for children. Lord Heydrich and the 3 battalion leaders walked up to him, and Heydrich accused him of being a fugitive during wartime. Heydrich ordered Trifa to select and sacrifice 10 of his children to him, or he would kill them all. With regret in his eyes, he selected the 10 children, and they all got killed instantly. Heydrich commended him for a job well done, and he asked him to return because he needs him. Trifa screamed in pain after they departed. Trifa takes Kasumi to the spot for the next swastika, the school's rooftop, but Leonhardt stops him in his tracks. She asks about his true intentions, since he initially planned to attack the church with Ren. She wonders if he brought her to the school on purpose, and she asks him why her brother, Kai, was so enraged at him because she could feel his heart despite being the Tubal Cain monster. Trifa confesses that he told him to die while he was still alive because he caught him and Beatrice planning to rebel against Lord Heydrich, but he couldn't allow them to make their move because it would disrupt his plans. However, Trifa says her brother was a warrior, so he could not have hated him for that. Trifa considers that Kai may have been angry with him because he turned the little girl he wanted to protect so badly into a warrior herself. Leonhardt summons her formation-level power with anger, and Trifa asks her if she hates him because he has also been a prisoner of hate. Trifa says he cannot forgive himself, and his only punishment is eternal torment. He does not need salvation, so he will walk alone forever. Leonhardt tries to attack him, but her attacks prove futile to Trifa's strength. Trifa says he wants to be strong because he couldn't save the children. He was weak, but now is strong. He tells Leonhardt that he understands her feelings of wanting to see her loved ones again, but as long as she kneels before Heydrich, all she will ever gain is eternal war, while she imprisons her loved ones in hell. Leonhardt, who had been attacking Trifa, looks at him shockingly. Trifa says he will not allow the emanation of Valhalla. Trifa chants the emanation spell to begin the procession, but Rhea walks in, begging him to stop. He says he is glad to see her because it makes things easier for him. Trifa promises to save Rhea because he longs to be the strongest man he knows, Lord Heydrich, so the things he loves will never be destroyed again. Leonhardt tries to stop him, but he proceeds with his spells, and he expels a weapon at Rhea to destroy the path that connects Rhea and Isaac, so the swastika will choose Kasumi as the next body in line for its womb. Just immediately, Samiel arrives to block off the weapon from Rhea. She tells Trifa his true color has been revealed, and he will never reach Lord Heydrich's level. Ren and Shiru realize the church was a decoy for Trifa's original plan. They both decide to split up and check the last 2 swastika. Trifa sees Machna, and he admits that he expected he wouldn't have time for him since his fight is with Ren. Machna replies that he wants his fight with Ren to be on the ultimate stage, but Trifa is getting in his way. Machna charges at Trifa, but Trifa blocks off the attack. Samuel knows that Trifa can survive the attack, but she asks about the others. Samuel offers to take responsibility for protecting Rhea, but she doesn't care about the others because they are not her problem. Samuel discovers Trifa's plans to sacrifice Kasumi, one of the twins from Johann's bloodline, to activate the swastika so he can seal off Lord Heydrich while attaining the resurrection of the dead. She tells him she doesn't care about his plans because his pilgrimage ends where he is. Machna storms towards Trifa, and an intense battle ensues between them. Samuel turns to Rhea to give her an explanation of the situation. She says Trifa could not forgive himself for his weakness and sins, so he longed to be strong by wishing to become the strongest man he knew, Lord Heydrich. Trifa became Lord Heydrich's replacement, and he assumed Lord Heydrich's body, hence the reason for his strong resistance to damage. So the whole army of Lord Heydrich lurked within the Grail. Samuel admits that she can't defeat Trifa on her own, but Machna's case is different with his strong fists. She tells Rhea her job is to paint everything in Lord Heydrich's color. Samuel notices that Leonhardt has been staring at her, so she proceeds to ask why. Leonhardt asks Samuel about the revival of the dead that Lord Heydrich promised, but she is disappointed when Samuel tells her it means being revived to immortality like her. She tells her about Lord Heydrich's desire to devour the world when the golden alchemy is complete. Leonhardt cries disappointedly, saying she fought because she wanted to save her loved ones, not for an unending war. Samuel tells Leonhardt that's the mistake fools like her make when they speak. She says living means stealing from others to add to their own lives. so her only choice to light a fire for those who have disappeared is to connect them to a greater life and give them the honor of becoming one with Lord Heydrich while they melt into the golden Valhalla. Samiel orders Leonhardt to be gone, but the relic beside her breaks angrily. Suddenly, lightning erupts, and a monster figure strikes Samuel unexpectedly. Samuel reappears, and she calls the monster Lady Kircheisen. Kircheisen charges toward Samuel, while Samuel says she will save her so they can meet in Valhalla. Samiel sets Kircheisen up in flames, while Leonhardt screams painfully. Leonhardt cries intensely, and she angrily strikes Samiel off. Trifa and Machina had been watching the drama all the while, and they resumed their battle with each other again. Machina asks what next, and Trifa replies that everything was just to buy time, because Ren will arrive eventually. Trifa asks if Machina can control his impulses when Ren arrives, but Machina tells Trifa he has made the mistake of believing Ren would make it in time. Just immediately, Ren gets attacked on his way by Schreiber, while Machina tells Trifa his attempts to buy time are meaningless in the face of his great desire. Samuel resurfaces, and she commends Leonhardt for getting to her because she lost her guard. She rewards Leonhardt with the Holy Lance, and she names her the owner. She tells Leonhardt she will be offered to the last swastika. Machina summons his powers, and he asks what Trifa intends to do. Trifa deliriously says he will not lose and he cannot die. He summons his powers and expels the weapon from his body out to Machina, but Machina dodges it, and he strikes Trifa heavily, causing a wide explosion in his body. Lord Heydrich commends the Grail for doing a good job, and he commands him to live within him. Lord Heydrich informs Karl that the promised hour is here. Lord Heydrich's relic dispels an intense sensation to the world. Machina bids Trifa farewell, and Trifa gets absorbed into the swastika. Trifa sees Rhea, and he tells her that he loves her before dying. The swastika opening causes another sensation in the city, and Ren notices it from his location. Schreiber tells him Lord Heydrich has summoned him so his mission is complete. He assures him they will pick up from where they left off in Valhalla alongside his friends, and he storms off. The swastika touches the sky, and it causes lightning. Lord Heydrich declares that it is time for the Dies Irae. Ren and Leonhardt wake up in the classroom inside the school. Shiru tells Leonhardt it's been 20 hours since he met up with Ren, but cell phones and clocks are no longer working. Ren says they are the only ones still alive because every other person has had their souls taken, and Leonhardt was probably kept alive because she was intended as the sacrifice for the last swastika. Shiru proposes they exchange information since the case is as it is, and Leonhardt complies. She tells them the events that led to her being there, and Shiru comments that Valhalla is one hell of a way to be immortal. Leonhardt suggests that they commit suicide since they have nothing else to do. She says she no longer has a motive or anyone to protect. Shiru tries to contradict her point, but Ren restrains him. Ren tells her she can dwell on her decision, and he won't force her so she can stay back. He stands up to leave, and he says he is talking to her because he doesn't have any more time to waste fighting with her. He implores her not to get in his way, and he is going to fight because it is not too late. He claims he didn't work so hard to receive the ending they are faced with. Ren tells Leonhardt he doesn't like her, but he knows she worked so hard too, and he is certain she is the same as him. Leonhardt painfully shuts him up, and she asks why he claims he doesn't like her. Leonhardt tells Ren she decided she would be better off alone a long time ago, but she started hoping for stupid things for herself when she met him. She concludes that she won't let everything end easily like that. She says tearfully that Ren always made her so angry and she hates him for it. Ren invites her to the party they'll be having on the rooftop after everything ends. He analyzes everyone's character at the party with Hanju and Shiru spurring fights between them, while Kasumi takes Leonhardt's side and Rhea takes a neutral position. He adds that Marguerite will be flustered, but she will be excited to see them being silly. Ren tells Leonhardt it will be super fun and it can be a new motive for her. Leonhardt tearily calls Ren's proposition stupid, and she concludes that she wouldn't fit in their space. Ren asks her to stop pouting, and he asks if she's coming or not, but she stays speechless. Ren notices Shiru's absence and he talks about it, but Leonhardt rushes to embrace him in gratitude. Shortly after, Shiru and Marguerite arrive to interrupt their moment. Marguerite fuels angrily at Ren, while Shiru teasingly calls Ren a terrible man for ignoring his girlfriend, who went to buy food because they were all starving and committing adultery. They tease each other for a little while. and Ren assures jealous Marguerite he won't hang around types like Leonhardt anymore. Marguerite confirms they are good to go, as long as Ren understands. She proposes they start eating, and Ren picks up Rhea's favorite sandwich, while Shiru offers Leonhardt a drink as a pact of loyalty. Leonhardt jokingly says she doesn't want to die with them, and Shiru agrees that none of them will die in that case. They all make a toast to winning and returning back alive. Ren leads the way, and they follow through to show off their strength. Lord Heydrich asks his battalion leaders what victory means to them, and they all drop their distinctive answers. Heydrich bases on Samuel's answer that victory means shining nobly in the highest heavens. He says she would probably get burned like Icarus for wanting it. Samuel agrees with him, saying they long for it, but cannot reach for it, and she wishes to be forever burned by it. She says she kept the mark on her as an eternal badge of honor. Schreiber mocks Samuel by saying she is in love and is so cute. Heydrich orders Schreiber to stop his taunting. He talks about his wish and Machina's wish as well. He commends them for having interesting desires. He announces that it is time to tremble. Lord Heydrich leaves his throne, and his battalion leaders follow after him. Rhea arrives in the room, and she tries to stop them, but they walk past her. She gets disappointed, but Heydrich's voice interrupts her thoughts. He offers to answer any question she has. Rhea asks him to tell her the truth about who she is or what she is. Rhea asks Heydrich if he is Isaac's father, and she asks if Riza was hurt because Isaac looked too much like him. Lord Heydrich looks at Rhea, and he confirms that she looks similar to her grandfather Isaac. Heydrich assures her he is not Isaac's father because he is not one to abandon women or children. It doesn't matter to him who Isaac's father is because he loves everything. He proceeds to take his leave, but Rhea stops him with her questions. She wonders if he won't ask what victory is to her. Rhea confesses that she feels pity for him because he seems so strong that everyone around him seems the same. However, he has nothing special to him. She says loving everything is the same as being interested in nothing, and a person like that will never attain victory. Heydrich says she has a truly sweet voice because he can feel it in his heart. He confesses that he and Karl are both boring men, and the pity of a lovely girl has stirred his heart. He asks what victory means to Rhea, and she replies that it means getting to see everyone again, even if it seems stupid to him. Heydrich tells her meeting Isaac will be her first goal, and he wishes her good luck while he walks away. Heydrich commences the beginning of the Dies Irae. He orders his leaders to fulfill their maddening thirst, and also take what they will, until they want nothing more, because their crusade ends there. Heydrich calls the world beautiful, and he promises to destroy it. He reveals that he will become the déjà vu and an absolute, unchanging law. Ren, Shiru, and Leonhardt arrive at the top of the tower to challenge them. Heydrich offers to fight with them alone, and he asks them to come. Rhea sees Isaac's relic, and he welcomes her as his Sonnenkind. He introduces himself as the Heart of Gladsheim, and she falls inside him. Heydrich defeats Ren and Shiru easily. Shiru calls it bad news, and he questions what they have to do. Leonhardt introduces herself to Heydrich as Sakurai K, the new member found by the Grail to be the successor of Beatrice von Kircheisen. Heydrich says he has heard the reports, and he questions if she volunteers to be the 8th sacrifice because her loyalty pleases him. But Leonhardt says angrily that she swore no loyalty to the Black Round Table. Heydrich confirms that she has no intention of working for him, and Leonhardt affirms, saying she hates him because her family would have lived and died normally if they had not met him. She says she will make her family's prayer come true no matter what, since she is the last one standing. She claims that her sin was letting herself get blinded by her false hope, so she would slay him and atone for her mistakes. Heydrich calls Leonhardt a sad girl, and he reveals that he will swallow her pain if she accepts to be wrapped in his eternal rest as his Einherjar. He claims that everything she has lost exists there, but Ren shuts him up immediately. He asks if he truly wants her to give him her soul in exchange for granting her wish so she can be his slave in hell. The trio assemble, and they all charge toward Heydrich at once. Mercurius feels an awakening, and he deduces that the emanation has begun at last. Heydrich casts a spell to summon his spear, and he strikes them with it. Shiru gets thrown off, and Schreiber rushes to meet him excitedly. Leonhardt and Ren struggle against Heydrich, but Leonhardt gets weak. Heydrich commands Samuel to deal with them, while he walks away. Samuel casts a spell, and Leonhardt gets absorbed by the swastika opening, making the 8th swastika complete. The effect of the completion turns the people in the city into bones. Ren remembers Rhea, and he rushes down to meet Heydrich, who informs him that she was swallowed up by Isaac, which is surprisingly easier than he expected. He informs Ren that once she's inside Isaac's world, she can never come back up. Ren sheds tears, and he wonders if it is truly over. Refusing to back down, Ren says assertively that it is not over yet. He wished that time would stop because he wanted to protect the everyday life that he loved. Ren summons the creation magic, and he charges to attack Hydrick speedily, but Hydrick blocks off the attack. Hydrick commends him for having speed, but he confirms that his strength is not enough. Ren strikes Hydrick endlessly and aggressively until Hydrick strikes him down with his staff, asking if Ren is still a bit too far from full power. Just immediately, Ren charges at Hydrick unexpectedly, and he clamps his neck with his weapon. Hydrick admits that he can't dodge the attack, and he reminds Ren of their promise to give their all till the final battle. He suggests that they both need more time, and he hands over the fight to the hands of someone more appropriate. Hydrick orders Machina to crush Ren, and he promises to free him from his Gladsheim if he wins. Machina jumps down aggressively, and he breaks the tower with his strength. Ren recognizes him from his dream, but Machine urges them to begin, while calling him his comrade in arms. Samuel notices Leonhardt's presence, and she tells her that her moves didn't fool her. She asks Leonhardt what she is planning, and Leonhardt confirms that she has nothing planned. Leonhardt says it was only a minor personal issue, and she knew she couldn't fool her because she gave her the Holy Lance. Samuel deduces that the 8th swastika was opened by the souls Leonhardt had collected because she made a last-minute contract with a new relic. She confirms that it was a necessary step because she would have been absorbed as the target if she had not made a contract with the Holy Lance. She commends Leonhardt for being clever because the sword would have killed her as a curse, but she made good use of it unexpectedly. Leonhardt says Samuel knows much about the sword, and Samuel admits that she had the sword made. She confesses that she reluctantly summoned Leonhardt's grandfather to make him an honorary Aryan and add him to the other ranks. Samuel explains that her family attained a seat of honor because of her grandfather's sacrifice. Leonhardt asks if having the Holy Lance forged and passed down their family just to bind them to a seat on the Black Round Table is an honor to her, and Samuel affirms. Leonhardt thanks her because she has a greater reason to fight against her. Leonhardt tells Samuel she wants to fight and defeat her even if her arms burn or her legs disappear. She is ready to become a Tubal Cain to defeat her. She concludes that she can't go with Ren and the others at the end of the day because she doesn't have the right to, so she wants them to think she's dead, but she wishes to take Samuel to hell with her in exchange. Beatrice and Kai appear beside her, while Samuel angrily curses her out. Leonhardt and Beatrice repeat simultaneously that Samuel has still not woken up. Lord Hydrick made her go mad by stealing her heart, but they conclude that what she has for him is not loyalty, but love. Samuel irritably asks if that's all she has to say, and Leonhardt affirms, saying her sword will complete the rest. Leonhardt charges Samuel forcibly, and she says she will never let herself be beaten. Schreiber and his relic chase after Shrew, while Shrew fires back at them until he receives a massive hit and lands heavily on the ground. Schreiber notices his tired feeling, and he asks mockingly if they are done with the fight already. Shrew asks for time to continue, and Schreiber offers to discuss while at it. He suggests that Shrew use the time to heal his wound or try anything he wants. Schreiber considers that Shrew must be wondering how he is blocking off the attacks. According to Carl, Schreiber's desire is to be untouched, and he doesn't do it consciously. Shrew says unseriously that it could be because Schreiber's old man raped him, and Schreiber wonders how Shrew knows. He says it was the family business, but it was unfortunate for them because he turned out to be a boy, so his mother cut off his manhood because it was not needed. Schreiber says they worked together, made a lot of money, and were loved by many, but it was fun until everything became weird. His mother became more broken. Shrew gets tired of listening to his story and decides to shoot at him in his delirious state of mind, but Schreiber deflects his attack. He attacks Shrew and calls himself an immortal creature because he killed his parents and everyone, but he is still alive. Shrew orders him to shut up, and they continue with their attacks until Shrew shoots off Schreiber, and he destroys his guns in the process. Schreiber shakes excessively because of his guns. He says he has to touch Shrew now that they are gone. Shrew asks how it is a problem after all the people he has drilled. He realizes that Schreiber can't hear him anymore, and he wonders if getting serious has finally gotten to him. Shrew decides to get more serious as well, so he summons Honju from his body. Honju and Shiro tease each other a little before deciding to face Schreiber. Schreiber orders them to shut up, saying he is an immortal creature and will kill endlessly until he becomes complete. Schreiber starts his motorbike with magic spells, and he whirls around them. Honju and Shrew get stuck on Schreiber's motorcycle. Honju asks if they have to keep up with it for long, and Shrew admits they have no choice. Schreiber shouts angrily and orders them not to touch him. He casts a spell that displaces them from the motorcycle. Machina continues attacking Ren, and he asks why he is still half asleep. Ren tells him he doesn't know him, and Machina asks Ren to remember his old name. Machina realizes he has forgotten his old name, but he tells Ren they are both toys of Karl Kraft. He says they both went out to the battlefield, fought, and died together, but he wonders why they revived in Heydrich's castle, even though they never wished for it. Machina wishes to take back the death that was stolen from him. Ren suddenly remembers a memory where he told Machina they are comrades, so they should go to the battlefield together. Machina desires to gain that death at the end of their battle. He punches Ren intensely, and it pierces his body. Ren calls out to Marguerite and tells her he will protect her for the world she'll make. Marguerite tells him she also wants to protect him, so she will embrace everything that she has gotten from him. With Isaac's birth and how Heydrich ignored him as a little boy, Isaac questioned who he was, who wanted him, and what he was born to do, but he had no answers. Rhea sees him in bondage, and she tries to console him for being alone all the while, but a rumbling startles her. Isaac calls out to his father, and he begs him to tell him that he needs him. Leonhardt and Samuel continue attacking each other. Leonhardt tells Samuel she is not done yet, despite the massive hits she is getting from Samuel's weapons. Samuel eventually blasts her to the ground, and she says she won't draw her sword against someone so weak. Samuel says it is more fitting for Leonhardt to be crushed, but she can stand up and fight if she doesn't want the narrative. Leonhardt stands up and says Samuel's reaction is just like she wanted because she knows Samuel's pride won't let her fight with her full strength against someone like her. Leonhardt questions if she goes against her sense of aesthetics that much, and Samuel affirms, saying Leonhardt makes her nauseous. Leonhardt asks Samuel why, and she says infuriating words to Leonhardt. She says Leonhardt cries a lot, and she says words like atoning for her sins and regaining her loved ones, which is not befitting of an actual warrior. Leonhardt asks if that's why Samuel loathed Babylon, herself, and the priest. Samuel affirms, and she says it is a question of hygiene because Leonhardt stinks to her, so she cannot allow her to live. Samuel fires all her weapons at Leonhardt non-stop. Leonhardt tells Samuel all her words about warriors are crap, and she cannot breathe without talking about the glory and pride in what is just murder, because she is useless at anything else. Leonhardt continues that, if she is drunk on tragedy, then Samuel is drunk on blood and the flames of war. So if she is going to talk about hygiene, she is the garbage, and she also makes her nauseous. Samuel says Leonhardt reminds her of Riza, and women are good for a little more than talk. Samuel summons fire from her relic, and she reminds Leonhardt she is the Einherjar of Lord Heydrich, a champion invited to the Golden Valhalla. Leonhardt disregards her reminder, and she tells her that she has the worst womanly habit of them all. She angrily screams that Samuel is just trying hard to be like the man she loves, so she shouldn't act so high and mighty. Samuel shoots at Leonhardt aggressively, but Leonhardt perseveres, and she charges towards Samuel, saying she won't lose. Leonhardt successfully pierces Samuel's eyes, making her lose her sight and focus. Samuel screams at Leonhardt angrily, and she casts a spell that brings out a mighty cannon. Leonhardt notices the sword cracking, and she looks fearfully. Samuel tells Leonhardt that giving her life is not enough to kill her, so she needs to stop being arrogant. Samuel launches the cannon in a bid to destroy Leonhardt. Leonhardt accepts her fate, and she agrees that she doesn't need salvation because she has killed a lot of people. But for her friend's sake, she calls on her brother and Beatrice to lend her their powers so she can win. Leonhardt throws her sword at Samuel, and the sword transforms into Beatrice's sword. It pierces through Samuel's neck, and Samuel says she hates Beatrice, but Lord Heydrich will lose to no one. She slashes her neck completely, and she gets destroyed. Leonhardt falls deep into the explosion, and she says proudly that she did it. She hopes Ren will win the fight. Back to Shirou and Hanju's battle with Schreiber. Shirou notices that the deja vu has disappeared when Schreiber detaches them from his motorcycle. Shirou seizes the opportunity to shoot Schreiber, and his motorcycle explodes. Schreiber says his body hurts so much and it feels like he is being ripped apart. He speaks deliriously with his invincible parents and his past clients. After he displays madness, he approaches Shirou and Hanju speedily, claiming he is an immortal of Einherjar, but they shoot his eyes off and he explodes instantly. Shirou and Hanju, already weak from the injuries, tease themselves before they give up. Shirou admits that his fight with Ren has ended in his defeat, but he doesn't care. They implore Ren to win because they'll kick him out if comes over to the losing side. Machina keeps attacking Ren, and he wonders why killing Ren is endless. He punches Ren off with heavy force, and Ren lands heavily on a wall. Ren realizes that he can't destroy something that its time has stopped because it is zero and it doesn't end. Ren walks forward, and he receives a strong push from his comrades. He attacks Machina speedily, and their battle continues. Heydrich says, the people who died in the last Great War have been invited to his castle, and some of them have gained the rank of heroes after keeping their minds. The next scene flashes back to Mercurius and his army. He gave a command to the soldiers to fight themselves to death, and the victor will get whatever wish he desires. Machina and Ren, who were both comrades at the time, fought against themselves. Heydrich confirms that the sight of the comrade in arms fighting themselves again is a beautiful sight. Although they have forgotten their names and the names of their foes, their souls remembered who they were. Ren thought about the moment he wished to protect, while Machine thought of the death he let slip through his hands. Machina hits Ren, causing him to recall the similar experience, but Ren tells him he isn't done yet. Heydrich calls out to Mercurius, and he questions what he thinks about the situation. Mercurius remembers his words to Machina in the past when he took his soul and ordered him to continue fighting, because he had not killed enough, so the battle wasn't over. Mercurius promised to give Machine the death he wished for after he won again. The fight between Machina and Ren becomes more intense, with Machina saying he cannot meet his end until he defeats him. Ren asks if that is why he chose to be Heydrich's slave instead of challenging him, but he acts like a coward, and he keeps trying repeatedly. Machina tells Ren that death only comes once, so it is worth living forcefully, and it is the only thing he has, so using it on the likes of Heydrich would taint the ultimate moment. Ren charges at him angrily, and he offers to give him the death he wants. Machina tells Ren he lost to him once, and he will lose to him again, but Ren assures him it is different because he is not alone this time. They charge at each other again with more force, but Machina surprisingly tells Ren to make him believe in him if he intends to defeat Heydrich, and Ren shows his strength. Ren slashes off Machina's head from his body, and Machina urges him to win, while still calling him his comrade. Heydrich and Mercurius commend Ren's strength, and Heydrich orders Ren to come to him. Ren runs speedily through the steps while they both chant emanation spells. Ren finally arrives at Heydrich's location. Heydrich tells him they are at the world's center, and he suggests they sing a good song together. Ren asks Heydrich if the souls of others truly taste good to him, and stealing them is his wish. Heydrich admits that it is sweet because feelings like love, courage, despair, rage, and everything all showed wonderful stories. The people who fear him, worship him, and want to recover something from him are the greatest possible offerings to him. Ren confirms that Heydrich is the devil, and he confidently says that he will defeat him. Mercurius compares emanation to a painting that uses all creation as its canvas, so it can be painted in a selected color. Once it has begun, it cannot be stopped until it is complete, and cannot be undone, except when a new picture is painted. Mercurius wonders what will happen when the intense painting of someone is laid across someone else's work. He confirms that a big hole will open, because the frame will not withstand it. He implores Marguerite to wait a little longer. Isaac in bondage begs for his father to acknowledge him and ask for his help. Ren wishes that time would stop, and the armies rushing toward them slow down their pace. Heydrich reminds him they are both doing an emanation and standing on the same grounds. Ren affirms, and he tells Heydrich that he won't get his way to him either. He says the dead will revive repeatedly, and it will create a Valhalla of battle casualties eternally destroyed as long as Heydrich lives. But he won't let it happen. Ren destroys the army going berserk, while Heydrich tells him that rejection is the sin carved into the core of a man's soul, and it can never be erased, so as long Ren refuses to accept him, the war can never disappear. He proposes enjoying it since the destiny of unending war cannot be avoided. Ren fights off the army of the dead, while Heydrich exalts himself. Heydrich mentions the celebration of a new world, and he claims he loves everything, so he must destroy everything. Ren reminisces on the peaceful days with the people he liked beside him. He angrily charges at Heydrich, saying he refuses to let Heydrich tell him otherwise, when he states his wish to protect his peaceful life. Heydrich commands Ren to destroy him if he can. Ren charges at Heydrich, but Heydrich's strength proves too strong for Ren. A female voice from Heydrich asks Ren not to leave yet, and it distracts Ren's attention, causing him to hold back. Heydrich notices it, but he tells Ren that he won't hold back. Heydrich discharges an attack on him, and Ren says suddenly that he hears Leonhardt and Shiru's voices. He asks them to fight together, and he destroys the Red Moon shockingly. Heydrich is surprised to see Ren's strength, and he concludes that the unknown is upon him while laughing hysterically. Heydrich and Ren fight against each other aggressively and speedily with their acquaintances until a wide explosion happens. Isaac gets destroyed in his cell after realizing he couldn't be of any help to his father. Mercurius arrives between Heydrich and Ren to inform them the hole has opened. He welcomes them to a new world, and he claims they are now at the center of everything. Kasumi regains consciousness in the school, and she walks to the roof to find out what is happening. She prays silently for her friends to return, and she says she will be waiting for them. Heydrich calls Mercurius rude for interrupting their battle, and he informs him he doesn't need his intervention. Mercurius explains that it is not his intention to interrupt them, but there's a more appropriate place for the conclusion, and he wishes to see the end because he has lived all his life for that purpose. Mercurius tells Heydrich he cannot kill him because he has decided his successor. Marguerite appears from behind Mercurius, while Heydrich creates a path for himself. Mercurius says his wish came through, and Heydrich kept his promise, so he will grant him his desire to take the death he wished for. Mercurius bids his friend Heydrich farewell, and Heydrich walks away. Ren asks Mercurius about Rhea, and Mercurius says he is uncertain because he saw Isaac shatter, but their battle was so strong that it tore a hole in the world, so she would be in the boundary if she is alive. Mercurius assures him she will be fine if she doesn't struggle. Ren tries to walk away, but Marguerite stops him with tears welled up in her eyes. She begs to go with him, but Ren urges her to stay back. He consoles her and walks away. Heydrich asks Ren if he has said his farewell, and Ren affirms. Heydrich questions if Ren shares the same opinion as Heydrich, and Ren admits that he does. He confirms that just 4 of them have reached the emanation spell, and only 1 of them will remain. Heydrich explains that there can only be 1 ruler, because only 1 color may be used to paint the new world, and their predecessor, Mercurius, wishes for death. Ren says he cannot allow Heydrich to take Mercurius's place, while he also is unworthy of the throne, because he has always wished for everyone except him and the people he loves to freeze. He concludes that he is also an idiot, troublemaker, and someone in the way. He concludes that he cannot be a divine being. Heydrich advises Ren to stay true to his resolve if he desires to be the knight for his supreme being. He promises to destroy him with the greatest respect. They both charge at each other aggressively to destroy themselves. Ren apologizes to Marguerite for making her cry and not keeping his promise, but he has decided to protect her. Mercurius kneels before Marguerite, and he professes his love to her again. Mercurius discovers Marguerite's hesitation to become his successor. He explains that Ren and Heydrich's desires have too many problems, so both are paradises for the dead. Marguerite tells Heydrich that what flows for Ren is what flows for her, because they did everything together and loved each other, so the feelings are important to her. Mercurius assures her that Ren understands the situation, but Marguerite disagrees with him, saying Ren likes to pretend he is fine when he actually isn't, so she knows he is not okay with the decision. Mercurius asks Marguerite if she intends to live in a world where everyone, except the 2 of them, is frozen. Marguerite begs Mercurius to leave things as they are. Mercurius disagrees with her, saying he would have his friend kill her and erase everything instead. Mercurius tells her he swore to release her one day as the divine being, whom he loves, and she desires to hold him in her arms. Heydrich pierces Ren's heart and confidently says he has won because his feelings are stronger than Ren's faith. Heydrich says he will swallow everything, but Ren struggles against him. Suddenly, Ren's blade pierces through Heydrich's neck to his surprise, and Heydrich realizes that Rhea is responsible for it. The emanation of the world retracts back, and everyone returns to life. Rhea tells him his disregard for Isaac brought about his defeat because she couldn't have done anything if he had responded to Isaac's feelings. She concludes that he has lost and is all alone. Heydrich calls it a beautiful unknown. Marguerite holds back her hands from touching Mercurius. She tells him she desires to hold him, but she loves Ren. She teasingly says adultery is wrong. They suddenly feel an exploding sensation from Ren's end, and Marguerite runs out to meet him. Mercurius laughs hysterically, saying the unknown is here, and he disappears from his throne. Ren calls out his friends' names, and he claims to have won because of them while crying. Heydrich appears to him asking why he is crying when he won the battle, or the defeat won't be worth it. Heydrich says he doesn't want to believe he lost to someone unworthy. Ren tells him what defeated him was the strength of a new world, and Heydrich wishes his pride blessings before he dissipates. Marguerite calls out to Ren, and they run to meet each other. He says he is scared because he doesn't wish to be separated from her, and she also says she doesn't wish to let go of him or everyone. She expresses her feelings, and she implores him not to forget her, and he promises that he will remember her. The last scene ends with Ren's return to the world still at the same age, while Kasumi is an older woman. He visits her in the hospital room, and she worries herself about him not still telling her what happened. Kasumi asks if Ren believes in rebirth because she has started seeing reality. Ren replies that he believes in rebirth. The room door opens suddenly, and Ren expresses his shock when he sees little Marguerite. They both shed tears joyfully.